안녕하십니까?
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to thank everyone and extend my warm welcome to all of you attending the 2024 UNESCO Creative City of Film Busan International Forum. My name is Mina Ok, your moderator today. In collaboration with the Busan International AI Film Festival, this forum explores the ethical challenges and copyright issues arising from advancements of AI technology in the film industry. We are honored to have distinguished speakers and experts from around the world joining us to discuss and envision the future of the film industry in the AI era. Now let us begin the forum with opening remarks from Mr. Jin-Hae Kim, President of Busan Cinema Center. Please welcome him with a big hand. Great to meet you, everybody. You know, it's the weekend, but we are joined by so many people, and I'm really happy to see you, everyone. Yesterday, we opened the very first Busan International AI Film Festival. And we had high attendance, not only from Korea, but also from overseas, showing their passion for AI filmmaking. And now this forum is being held in collaboration with the festival. And you know, Busan is UNESCO Creative City of Film, right? So in 2024, Busan became a coordinator city of the UNESCO Creative City of Film network for the first time among Asian cities. So that was for 2024, and we were designated as one of the UNESCO Creative City of Film in Asia in 2014. So that means through education and culture, we pursue bridging the gap for culture through education, and that is the purpose of a UNESCO Creative City of Film. And Busan is taking a big role here, and we are focusing on filmmaking utilizing AI. Not just on the utilization, but also the risk that entails in relation to copyrights. And we look forward to fruitful discussion on this topic today. Today we are joined by Attorney Kang Min-gu from Seoul and Attorney Cho Kwang-hee. And from Spain we have Director Eva Soria Pucci. And from Canada we have Dr. Richard Cormier has joined us, and also we have a presentation from India by Mr. Chinchillikar. So it'll be a wonderful forum where we will talk about this technology itself, but also in relation to its risks and ethics. Once again, I would like to thank all the panelists for your participation and as well as the audience today. Thank you.
And next we have a congratulatory remark from Mr. Hyung Kyung-gu, Secretary General of the Korea National Commission for UNESCO. Dear distinguished guests, I am Han Kyung-gu, Secretary General of the Korea National Commission for UNESCO. On behalf of the Korea National Commission for UNESCO, the Secretariat of the UNESCO Creative Cities Network in Korea, I sincerely congratulate the opening of the 2024 UNESCO Creative City of Film Busan International Forum. First of all, I'd like to extend my deepest gratitude to the City of Busan and the Busan Cinema Center for their passionate efforts in organizing this event. I also want to thank and welcome all the presenters, panelists from home and abroad, as well as the residents of Busan and everyone gathered here today. This forum provides a meaningful platform to discuss the challenges of copyright protection and ethical issues faced by the film industry in the AI era. While AI has brought convenience and advanced technologies, it has also sparked various controversies and challenges across society. In particular, in culture and arts, concerns and anxieties regarding AI persist, such as the replacement of human artists, copyright issues, and plagiarism. UNESCO, as an international organization addressing humanity's intellectual and moral domains, unanimously adopted the recommendation on the ethics of artificial intelligence during its 41st General Conference in November 2021, the very first international standard guideline on AI ethics. This recommendation emphasizes that technological advancements must align with humanity's universal values and ethical standards. It serves as a crucial guide in addressing the diverse challenges arising from the integration of AI technologies into the creative industries. Based on the significance and value of this recommendation, discussing the ethical direction of the film industry in the AI era at this forum is both timely and meaningful. Meanwhile, the UNESCO Creative Cities Network was launched in October 2004 as part of the International Solidarity for Cultural Diversity Initiative. UCCN views creativity as a strategic element for sustainable urban development. It aims to foster cultural industries based on the cultural assets and creativity of each city while promoting economic, social, and cultural development through intercity cooperation to enhance cultural diversity and promote sustainable development. Busan joined the UNESCO Creative Cities Network in 2014 as the first city in Asia and the only city in Korea designated as the Creative City of Film. Marking its 10th anniversary this year, Busan actively aligns with UCCN's vision of achieving sustainable development through creativity, serving as the coordinating city in the field of film. As a hub of the film industry, Busan goes beyond quantitative growth on an industrial level to propose a future model where technology and ethics harmonize. In doing so, Busan is playing a leading role in fostering collaboration among creative cities worldwide. Through this forum, I hope practical and essential response strategies will be developed to lead the AI era in the film sector, grounded in creativity, cultural diversity, and sustainable development. I wish all attendees a fruitful and inspiring experience, and once again, I'd like to extend my congratulations on the successful hosting of this forum. Thank you very much. And now let us watch the promotional video for UNESCO Creative City of Film, Busan. This video highlights the achievements of 2023.
In 2023, UNESCO Creative City of Film Busan successfully achieved the goals of the UNESCO Creative Cities Network through culture and arts. Brand establishment. Busan City has established a solid brand identity for itself as a creative city of film by creating a new logo. Additionally, through the operation of partners, the city has actively promoted and monitored UCCN projects. Strengthening relationship with UCCN at national and international level. Busan has built a cooperative system to promote mutual exchange with Cannes, France, another UNESCO creative city of film. Through cooperation with the Busan International Kids and Youth Film Festival, a poster contest was held for children from foreign creative cities. Moreover, by interacting with Busan, Creative City of Literature, Daegu Creative City of Music, and Seoul Creative City of Design, Busan has expanded cultural diversity across various fields. Discovering cultural resources. To discover cultural resources, Busan supported the Village Filmmaking Project, where local village community residents take leading roles in all aspects of filmmaking, from script writing to filming, editing, and acting. And also produced films featuring stories of people with disabilities to improve awareness and expand cultural enjoyment for the disabled community. Through the Our Community Cinema project aimed at revitalizing local films, the city supported community film screenings and related events. Additionally, the With-Bomb Film Festival helped improve disability awareness and bridge social gaps, while the Intercity Film Festival enhanced exchanges with other creative cities of film, expanding citizen participation. To encourage active cultural participation among citizens, Busan supports the operation of independent film clubs by its citizens and hosted Cinema Concert that combined film and music at the outdoor cinema in the Busan Cinema Center. Advisory Committee. Busan City of Film has appointed experts from various fields as advisors for the UNESCO Creative City of Film Busan to systematically establish directions and goals for the city's future. Hosting International Forum. In 2023, in the wake of the end of the pandemic, Busan held an international forum on the theme of addressing inequality in cultural enjoyment, providing a valuable opportunity to hear solutions from various cities on reducing cultural inequality. Fueled by a passion and love for film, 2023 was a year of progress for Busan City of Film. Busan City will continue to lead our culture forward to achieve even greater brilliance as a UNESCO Creative City of Film.
Okay, so let us officially begin the program for today's forum. For our first session, we will hear a keynote speech from Mr. Kang Min-gu, Chair of the Legal System Committee at the National AI Committee and representative lawyer of To Law Firm. Mr. Kang previously served as the presiding judge at the Seoul High Court with an outstanding career spanning 36 years. During his tenure, he authored over 10,000 rulings and significantly contributed to the digitalization of court systems, including the implementation of the electronic litigation system. He also presided over landmark cases, such as the case for farmers in Korea Industrial Complex. And since retirement, he has been actively working as a representative lawyer. And he is going to speak on the topic survival strategies for filmmakers in the AI era. Please welcome him with a big hand. As introduced, my name is Kang Min-gu. First of all, I would like to thank my fellow panelists from India, from Canada, and also from Spain, and also the distinguished guests and the audience who joined us for this forum. I would like to also thank President Kim Jin-hae of Busan Cinema Center for inviting me, and also to Busan citizens for welcoming me. I arrived in Busan yesterday, and I'm really enjoying my time here. Since 2015 and for several years, I was in Busan Judicial Court, and I am one of those Busan men who love Busan. And at the end of January this year, I retired from the judiciary system, and since May, I started working at a small law firm as an attorney. And a couple of months ago, I became the leader, the chairman of the National AI Committee, so that we can advise on the lawmaking for anything related to AI, and I'm leading that committee. So now people would ask me how this judge becomes the leader in the committee for AI, that the technology. Well, in 1985, I became the professor of the. I went to the army, and I did the coding using Potran or other languages, and I also led the effort to informatization of litigation. So all the database for Korean cases and the personnel, everything has been digitalized through that project that I was the leader for. So even though I look like, kind of an old man, former judge, but I think after listening to my lecture today, you will be able to see that I have earned all the information and the experiences before. And yesterday, just lying on the bed, I was thinking about what is a film. Film comes from Greek theater, I think, because that's really about communicating with the audience. And when we started having the technology of the camera and projection, then now the actors were able to read the script, and the actors were shot with the camera, and then that was projected upon the screen on a two-dimensional screen, and the audiences were invited to immerse themselves in the world of film. And they were able to empathize with the characters on screen. And that really lifted the spirit of the audience. And I thought that was the beginning and the end of what makes cinema cinema. And now, with the era of AGI and technical singularity point era, when it arrives, then would it be possible to continue with the current cinema culture? So I had those thoughts in my mind yesterday. So with that in mind, I'm going to make this presentation. So what kind of attitude such a filmmaker has to have in the era of AI? I asked Gemini about that, and this is what it gave me. Filmmakers have to be able to actively utilize and master AI tools, strengthen creativity and expertise, and enhance collaboration capabilities, continuously learn about new technologies and trends, and be aware of AI ethics and copyright issues, and have to be able to flexibly adapt themselves to change, and also focus on human values and storytelling capabilities. And I think, I felt like, the Gemini gave me a very good answer. And I'm going to touch upon this in the end, but we have to really thinking about the thinking muscles and questioning muscles and how strong we make those muscles will determine our destiny. And I utilize this image when I give a lecture like this. Here, the frog in a well and a boiled frog syndrome. Here, the frog in the well, he thinks that narrow vision into the sky is all he knows, right? So there's someone who's like this frog in the well. And also there's another person who doesn't know that innovation is coming up and who is just, standing idle. And also, number 3, there's a frog that is about to be eaten by a stork, but he grabs the stork by the grab and never ever gives up. And I think the third one is the one that we all have to have. So the filmmakers will have to keep up with the technology and never ever give up in order to go hand in hand with the era. And on Cognizant, I looked at it and it said new work, new world. In 8 years, a new world will open up, new jobs will open up. 1,300 trillion won in growth will be driven by AI. And 90% of all jobs will be disrupted or impacted. So, a new universe has arrived in front of us, only to be seen by only a few. And there are many people who are not even aware of that. And as I retired this January, I made an exaggeration that goes like this. Recognizing that Judge Kang Min-gu has been working so hard for 36 years, the American AI companies spent 300 trillion won to give him a gift. So those who have awakened to the AI era will create the mobility and achievements of Mongol cavalry. That's what I've been telling to my colleagues. And as you can see, this is the latest Nobel Prize winners, Jeffrey Hinton, and also Hassabis, who is the creator of AlphaGo. So, these three people utilizing AI, they won the Nobel Prize, and it shows that our world is really driven by AIs. And my son tells me to this is what it says, build in 10 years, all human diseases will be completely conquered by AlphaFold, and the cycle of new drugs will be much faster because AI will do all the tests virtually. And, such as lipidemia and blood sugar and blood pressure and all that will be completely solved in 10 years. And he told me to, last just 10 more years and build muscles. And since this video is streamed to general public too, so I'm sure the physical audience right here are all aware of this, but I want to tell you that how AI is so useful in everyday life. I would like to make some demonstration for you. So first of all, there are 8 important applications. Are there anyone who have all these 8 AI apps? GPT, Gemini, Perplexity, Notebook LM, Copilot, Clova X, Claude, Microsoft Designer. Is there anyone who has all 8 apps in one folder? Is there anyone? I bet there's no one. That is just normal. And I'm going to mirror my phone to the screen to give you a live demonstration. Now, that's my phone. It's being mirrored on the screen now. So if you look at this, here it says 8 key apps for AI. It's very easy to install these apps. And Gemini also has the mobile app, and now for Apple too. 3 weeks ago, Gemini app is now available on Apple. And here, this is Android. If you go to Play Store and go to search and put in GPT, and then you will see all these. There are fake ones too. Actually, many of them. They will confuse you. So you go to ChatGPT with that logo, and also Microsoft Copilot very colorful logo right here, and perplexity. So it's a very powerful tool for looking up some materials on the internet. And also Copilot, you can see right here. And if you go down, most of them are here. And Gemini, you put in GEM, and autofill will happen, and you can see the blue diamond logo. And then Microsoft Designer is quite related to filmmaking also. So you go to MS Designer like this, and on the second selection you can see that logo right there. And this is a great tool for making JPG images. And the other ones are not apps, but go here, put in Notebook LM. And Notebook LM is not a app version, but it's a website version. The Korean version came out June 6th, and that allows you to create text PDF, upload the text up to 50,000 pages so that you can create your own AI. That's the Notebook LM. And I'm going to demonstrate that on my laptop. And this phone version is only as a viewer. I'm going to skip on the Claude. Now go here and let me do this right now. This is a seminar on filmmaking, so in the 소나기 by Hwang Sun-won, the young people make me a 5-minute script based on the 소나기 shower by Hwang Sun-won. It's about young people falling in love, and the backdrop is rural town in Korea. So here, it comes up with the script right here, depending on the prompt. It's almost perfect script. Say now you need image, right? So let's make a JPG image. Create an image that's suitable for this situation, and I want a watercolor style. And now it's going to, so that was my prompt. Create an image that is the watercolor style. I think it's creating two different images. So if you like this one better, and I click there, and then I can download it and save it. So this one enables you to create image too. And I'm going to do another trial with general public. My name is Hong Gil-dong, and I gave 100 million won to Kim Gap-sun with an interest rate of certain rate, but Kim Gap-sun is not paying me back. Now, come up with a statement asking for the repayment. Take a look. Usually when I come up with like this, people applaud.
그다음 또 놀래보세요.
And then next one, it's going to be another surprise.
대여금 반환 청구 소장을 만들어. 이러니까 제가 법무사협회가
Write me a petition. And this is why people, complain that, I take up other jobs too. I'm sorry, but, if I can do it with my AI, why not?
소장을 자기가 만들어요.
Okay, so the AI now devises a petition.
소장을 말하게 만든다고요.
Just, within a couple of seconds, it did it. I'm a judge, and I'm going to make a statement that Hong Il-dong wins this case. Write me the judge's statement.
우리 앞에는 나와 있는
Ruling statement.
변협이 막을 수 있나요? 못 막아요.
This is the era that we're living in. I mean, do you think the Attorneys Association can prevent this? No, this comes from technology comes from the United States. Is this correct? Then you can applaud. So all the way down to court ruling statement. This is the time that we're living in. So, give the prompt with an idea and you give it a scope of, how many pages the screenplay should be, and then it will give you just that. And I'm going to show you something even more powerful. My best friend Lee Dong-gyu, Professor Lee Dong-gyu,
400자 글을 결국 160회 쓰고 끝났는데
has been writing columns, 400-letter columns for a daily newspaper. And here, what time it is right now in Korea? That's the title. And now here it says 0.
자, 이거를 복사합니다.
I'm going to copy that.
375자입니다. 이거를 어떻게
So 375 letters. Take a look what I do with this.
아예 글을 2000자로 늘려서 설명하게
And now lengthen that into 2,000 letters.
이걸 끝내고
And it recognizes my order.
조금 전에 복사한 거를
So, and then I attach that here, and the miracle happens.
1초 안에
Within 1 second,
학력은 높지만 철학은 빈곤하다. 지식인은 많지만 지성인은 부족하다.
it comes up with the summary, and then it elongates the content.
해는 산사. 문제는 풀라고 있는 것이며
And now it comes up with all the bullet points and all the gists and conclusion. Now that we have someone from Spain,
스페인어로 번역.
translate to Spanish.
이렇게 스페인말로 내가 지금 서비스를 지금 우리 강사님한테 보여드리려고.
So I'm going to show this to this guest from Spain. I don't know Spanish, but this is the output in Spanish.
캐나다에서도
And we have a guest from Canada too. I'm going to translate to English.
이 답변을 영어로
Translate to English.
완전히 죽이는 세상에 왔어요. 이제 외부
It's a powerful tool. You don't need any external translation, and it's so quick too.
그러면 더 여러분들 시민 여러분들이 놀라는 거 영화인 여러분
And the filmmakers,
한국의 조선시대 궁중에서 일어나는
the backdrop is Joseon Dynasty within court, within the castle, within the palace, and it's going to be a PhD paper. And give me the topic, thesis, and give me the reference.
다 만들어 줍니다.
And it's going to handle the evolution of court life of Joseon Dynasty.
이렇게 참고 문헌을
So this is all the references.
하고 연구 방향,
and it gives me direction
결론까지.
and conclusion.
3배 더 길게, 4배 더
You can, if you think it's too short, then you can, give it an order to make it longer.
AI 시대의 영화 산업의 활용 방안에 관한 박사학위 논문
I'm going to write a PhD thesis on what AI technology can be used in filmmaking and give me the content
한번 보세요.
and the gist.
이제 딴 세상이 지금 우리 앞에 와 있습니다.
This is a whole new world that has arrived.
영업하기 힘듭니다.
So, yeah, I mean, professors, it's going to be very difficult for you to be a professor these days.
안 까무러쳐요 이런 거 보고.
Isn't this surprising? I mean, it threw me off so badly.
그래서 이런 것도 되고
So this is what you can do. There's nothing you cannot do with AI.
지중해식 식단의 효용과
What's the effectiveness of
제가 터키
Greek
올 서울에
menu.
갔다 와서 아침을 지금 지중해 식단으로 먹고 있는데
A Mediterranean menu and give me the recipe.
스페인어로 번역해서 보여드려야 손님이
And I'm going to translate to Spanish.
식단의 개요.
So this is the effectiveness of Mediterranean dish and also recipe
거의 죽인다고.
and menu. This is amazing.
어떤 큰 문서가 있으면 문서
If
정보에서
there's a document you have, then you can put this in and you can shorten it. You can summarize, you can extend based on that.
답변을 스페인어로 번역.
Translate this into Spanish.
제가 스페인 우리 강사님에 대한 서비스로 이와 같이 스페인어로
Because we have a Spanish guest here, so I translated this to Spanish. It's about Mediterranean dish.
예컨대
There's nothing you cannot do with this. So, for example, if you're traveling abroad and you want to come up with an itinerary, then you go to Gemini. Give me an itinerary of 7-night, 8-day to Toscana in Italy, and give me a list of hotels and restaurants.
이거는 제미나이 프로, 제미나이
This is Gemini Advanced Pro.
그림도 사진도 보여줘요.
This one also shows you pictures. If you scroll down, I think it's gonna show you some pictures.
오늘은 또 사진을 안 보여줘요.
Okay, it's not showing me pictures today, but
제미나이는 이렇게 여기에 책 2개,
here
책 2개를 하면 여기 책 2개.
here are 2 books. You click on 2 books, then you can copy, and then click on the 3 dots. Then there's a response 1, response 2.
말로 자기가
And it also reads it out loud for you.
다른 답안을 선택하면
If you click on the other
이렇게 나옵니다.
response, then option 2 will come up like this.
제미나이에서 나오는데 시간은 좀
And it takes
걸립니다.
time a little bit.
그래서 이렇게 이제 답안 1이 있고
And so there's response 1, response 2, option 2,
자기가
and
선택한
you can choose from these.
모두 답기를 하고
Okay, I'm going to close them all.
자, 퍼플렉시티
And I go to perplexity.
현재 일어나고 있는 자, 오늘 실제 상황을 한번 물어보겠습니다.
I'm going to ask about what is happening right now.
한국의 비상계엄 선포 후 해제가 있었고
There was a cancellation of declaration of martial law, and today it's going to be a voting for.
결과에 따라서 한국이 어떻게 변화할지
There's an important voting, and depending on that,
소수가 되지 않을 경우로 두 가지
give me the scenario. If this impeachment goes through, and the scenario if the impeachment does not go through.
비상계엄 선포가
Okay, I'm gonna have to do it again. I don't know what's happening here. It doesn't listen to me. Okay, I'm going to Ask again. Perplexity,
지금 오후 3시 이 시간을 기준으로 인터넷에 있는
it looks at all the materials available on the internet as of right now. So I'm going to ask about me.
반대하니까 여기
It looks like it's protesting about my question. So I'm going to ask it about me.
판사의 36년간
The 36 years of judiciary tenure of Kang Min-gu explain that by categories and give 10 famous cases. It's not my personal publicity, just for the demonstration. Don't get me wrong, okay?
저를 더 잘 알아요.
It understands me even better than myself. It gives me the career as a judge, and it says, 36 years is the judge who gave a ruling to 10,000 rulings, and he's the only judge in Korea who was able to pull that off. And this is all the accomplishments, and these are all the famous cases that he handled. And if you go down here, these are the additional questions that branches out from the content. This question is not created by myself, but it's the question that AI is asking so that I can branch out to other information. So it says, what is the process of adopting the electronic litigation? So here it explains the background and the process of adoption and all that. It knows about me more than myself, all the career and all the things that I did. So here, go to this icon to copy, and then I can send it to myself, to my Kakao Talk, and to save it. So Perplexity is the best tool possible to get information on the internet, and this one has very little hallucination. And there's another one, the Notebook LM. This one I really want to emphasize. There are many people who are not even aware of this function available on your computer. This is web-based. So go here and go to notebooklm.google.com, and you can go through your Google login. So that means if there's anyone who has Gmail, then this one enables you to have access to this. Only you can access it through Google ID, and this is secure. It's a personalized AI, basically. So PDF, some tens of thousands of PDF files can go up here. Novels or informative, film-related, anything can go here. And I've written this book called Density of Life, and this one, the whole book can be uploaded here. And then it asks questions and also answer to that self-generated questions. I didn't even ask. This AI asks these important questions and will answer them. This is what AI is doing, self-asking and self-answering. Once again, these are not my questions. And here, do you see those numbers? Number shows the source, the original source. Are you following me? Okay, so after the self-question and self-answers, I'm going to ask it to summarize it. if you have Windows 11, then there's a voice activation feature available on MS.
이 문서의 내용 전체를 소제목도 달면서
Summarize the entire content into 2,000 letters, including
그러면 300페이지가 넘는 제 책을
subjects.
저자보다도 더 똘똘하게 요약을
And it summarizes the whole thing.
지금 여기 디지털 녹음기에 녹음을 하는데
And right now, I'm recording the whole session on my digital recorder, and I'm going to take that out to Kulova Note to transcribe everything, and then I'm going to summarize the whole thing through this feature and send it to the organizer as my gift. That's copy, and then you can save it here.
이거를 복사를 해서
Then I can copy right there and go to MS Word
HWP에
or HWP, and you can just dump that everything in there.
들어가면은 쫙 해서 이렇게 쭉
So like this, you can go down and go to Control Q F,
바꾸게 하면 한동안에
and then you can change that to blank space.
대부분의 있으면
If there's a foreign text like English or Japanese or Spanish, then you can click on plus right here.
올리면 되고
You can upload the source.
하고 DOC는
DOC or HWP are not accepted here, but only PDF or text are accepted here.
PDF로 만들면 된다는 뜻이고
So that means you should make that into PDF.
코로나 시즌 때
And during COVID-19,
27건의
I
외신을 적어서 400쪽이 되면은
wrote 27 writings, 27 PDFs about the.
문기를 한번 안 줘서
This one contains all the quarantining efforts of COVID-19 in Korea. And of course, the government brags that it did well, but no, it's all failure. Why? You can find that in the 27 books that I wrote right here. And based on that, the AI will ask questions and answer them. So if you put in filmmaking documents here, then this notebook LM will also, ask core questions and answer. And Notebook LM is the best tool imaginable to use it, and it will make analysis based on all the litigation resources and documents, and it will summarize into 30-page long, and it does it very, very well. And with that output, you can just refine it and you can just reuse it right away. So there will be many people who have seen Notebook LM for the first time today, but I recommend strongly that you will use this starting today. You can applaud if you think this is good.
자, 그다음 이제 마지막 이제
Last but not least,
방향을 이제 들어가서
now let's actually get into the presentation.
그래서 여러분들을 위해서 제가 자, 그 다음에 이렇게
So for all of you, I've input these QR codes. You can access these QRs for Apple App Store, and also the previous slide was for Android. And I think you will be able to find this if you go to the page of the Busan Cinema Center. So please find this file there. And now let's go to the advancements of technologies in filmmaking. So here, just to go through the bullet points here, I've written down visual effect and animation, and storytelling and script writing. These are all bullet points about where you can use Gen AI, and also you can use Gen AI for sound effects and music, and to improve the efficacy of the production process, and to create new content. And here are specific Gen AI technologies used in film production. You can see there's text-to-video Gen AI, image generation AI, de-aging technology, AI dubbing technology, visual production technology, and etc. PLSTC, PLST, and other Gen AI produced films could be created, and also feature films over 60 minutes could be created. By 2028, the Gen AI technology market will grow tenfold. And then, this is a slide about copyright protection and ethical challenges in the film industry due to AI technology innovation. I know that this is the topic that we have for today's forum. And in the US right now, OpenAI and NIT, very famous media outlets, recently ended in a settlement with a very small media outlet. But there are similar conflicts going on. So when it comes to copyright protection, consistent monitoring is important, and also digital watermarking and tracking technology issues are rising. Establishing copyright standards globally for AI creations is also something we should focus on. And for ethical challenges, there's some ethical issues with AI learning data, and also plagiarism and creativity issues by AI, professional ethics and protection of creators' rights, and deepfakes and privacy issues risen by Gen AI. And there are separate papers for each and one of these bullet points, but because I don't have time today, I will just gloss over this slide and tell you what some of the issues are. And then regarding the development strategy, there's the collaboration model between AI and human creators, and also AI-based custom content creation and recommendation system that's needed. Also, building a data-driven decision-making system is important, and also international cooperation and standardization, as well as development of legal systems and technical regulations are important. You can read the rest. And now let's go into the general theory. Basically, we're going to see a gap as wide as heaven and earth between people using AI and between people that don't use AI. So AI is often referred to as an atomic bomb, a nuclear bomb, but that is not the case. And these show that Gen AI have a lot of hallucination cases, which is why we need to use AI to assist our work. We need to cross-check the answers of Gen AI through Google or other Gen AI applications. And please do not use the free version. Use at least one paid version of Gen AI app. It's about $20 a month. So please just pay the subscription fee and think of it as an increase to your productivity. I'm using the paid version for all ChatGPT 4, Gemini, and Publicity. They're all $20 each a month. And Super Lawyer AI is also 100K Korean won. Every month, basically, I'm paying 540,000 Korean won on AI applications. But I really think that it's showing 10 times productivity of what I'm paying.
구체적이고 명확한
So we need to ask AI clear and lucid questions.
범위를 한정해야 되고
We have to limit its range,
꼬리에 꼬리를 물고
and also we need to keep on asking follow-up questions and asking for its advice.
램프가 지금 절대
And also, it's not like the Aladdin's genie lamp. It's solely for assisting your work. And it is not a nuclear bomb. The AI situation is both an opportunity and a crisis. So make use of it. It's just the same as dating. When a technological upheaval arrives, there's three types. And we can reference this to a very fast racing horse. There's people that don't know that this can be an opportunity and let this opportunity go. Second type of people know that it's a great opportunity but cannot hold on to the opportunity. They're just hesitant. The third type of people know that this is the greatest opportunity out there and take it. On the 7th of December, 1987, I remember in Gwanghamun, in a cafe, I met my wife. I was introduced to my wife by an acquaintance. At the time, we didn't even have phones. We had these buzzers. And that was how I met my wife. The first time I set my eyes on my wife, I felt like I was electrified. Today's that day, actually. But unfortunately, in Korea, the Korean railroad system right now is on a strike. And she couldn't join me here in Busan because there weren't enough trains. A lot of the trains stopped. But the very first time I saw my wife, I knew that she was the one. The best thing I've done in my life is meeting my wife. So I married my wife when I was 29, and I actually got advice that I shouldn't get married on that year. But I did anyways, and I'm just living a very happy life. This was just my personal story on a side note. I'm sorry for sidetracking. So basically, survival stance in the age of generative AI is continuous learning, development of fusion thinking, ethical approach, strengthening soft skills, adaptability, and flexibility, and also eventually recognizing the limitations and risks of utilizing AI, using AI responsibly. Now, the key points here are thinking muscles and questioning muscles. 20 years later, 95% of these jobs will be replaced by AI. Technical singularity point. In the past, somebody predicted that this year would be 2045, but I think that we will see the year of technical singularity point before the year of 2045. So basically, due to this technical singularity point, we will see a completely new paradigm when our children are all grown up. So what's important here is continuous reading. You have to read at least one line, write at least one line a day, as if you are meditating. So reading, analog reading is very important. I have 2 daughters, 1 son. And every weekend for more than a decade, I took all my children to the bookstore. I made them read thousands of books with me before they went to high school. And they've grown up to be very, very successful adults. So these are some easy science-related books you can read. And these are books related to humanity. Please read them before it gets warm. And also, there's a book called Immersion. And also, The Density of Life. This is my book. You don't need to buy my book. Read all the other reference books I've put up here.
문학발이 딸린다는 사람들은
And for those that feel like they need smoother speaking skills, read these 3 books here, Sapiens, Homo Deus, as well as 21 Lessons of the 21st Century, and, of course, Guns, Germs, and Steel. And you can talk your way out of anything. So you need to have the attitude to always study. And also, you need to think in the manner of consurgence. Basically, I want to stress that the ultimate weapon is having this thinking muscle and having analog competitiveness. And if you live by this motto, that is, a family that does many good deeds is bound to be blessed with abundant joy, then I want to say that you will be able to have a successful career. So this is the modern meaning of that saying. And these are some contributions I have made in some newspapers. From next week, I'll be writing on law, and until this week, I've been writing on AI technology. Inquisitiveness, curiosity, passion, and altruism is very important. If you live by these values, you'll be able to earn a lot of money and live a successful, happy life. Ever since I was a judge, up until last year, May, I created these 100 short video digital mindfulness meditation series. Unfortunately, a lot of old people out there don't know how to access these QRs, and they're using these phones that can't give them access to these internets. I hope nobody here is using these kinds of phones that are not smartphones. Please log on using these QR codes. And I hope I can be forgiven in that I passed my time a little bit. Thank you very much. These videos will be given to the general public, and my lecture will be accessible by the general public, which is why I try to make my lecture very easy. My hope is that all people will be able to be free from propaganda and false news by utilizing AI and cross-checking all information so that we can overcome political differences and fake news and political propaganda, overcome the division between the right and the left. And I hope that I can achieve this dream within 1 year. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the passionate presentation. I looked at my cell phone and I didn't have those apps, so I downloaded all these apps, and I'm working on my PhD paper, and I'll be using the notebook LM as you recommended. Thank you so much for the presentation. So we're going to start the presentation. The first presentation will be by Mr. Dechintaya Chenchakar, VP of Whistling Woods International. Unfortunately, due to health reasons, he was not able to join us today. Instead, he sent us the video. Mr. Chenchakar has had a dynamic career spanning over 2 decades in the film, media, and entertainment industry. He currently serves as VP and Business Head of Whistling Woods International, India's premier film and creative arts institute, where he also leads emerging media initiatives and serves as CTO. He's also CEO of NCOE, AVGCXR, and is a member of the Board of Governors of the Society of Motion Picture and Television Engineers. Today's presentation topic is AI in film entertainment, focusing on ethical issues. Take a look.
Hi, hello. Good morning, everybody. So sorry that I couldn't make it in person to Busan. I was really, really looking forward to coming there. But, sadly, a couple of issues have happened which have not allowed me to reach there. Um, However, I would do like to present our take on AI. As a media and entertainment educational institution which focuses primarily on film and other creative arts, AI is an extremely important vertical for us to review. And we have looked at it. We have been studying it for the last couple of years. And over the next 30 minutes or so, I'll take you through it to help you understand how are we approaching AI as India's premier film school. Um, and how do we see this being a part of our education landscape? So let's go. Now, the question now it comes to is how do we approach AI? And the way that we approach AI is to ask three questions. How will AI help us? Which is what the whole world seems to be asking. But also, how can we help AI? So what do we do that will fuel and enhance AI advancement? And the third question is, do we need to change how we teach? Because as an educational institution, it's very important for us to look at this new workflow and evaluate it, right? So how can AI help me? That is the first question. And that's the most common question asked. So what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to take some basic AI solutions or AI platform examples and just put in at least one or two media and entertainment or filmed entertainment related applications there. So there's prompt engineering, which is Gen AI prompts. There is computer vision. There is, which is used in photogrammetry. There's AI simulations, which is the combined application of AI and simulation. So storyboarding is a very good example of AI simulations. There's autonomic systems, auto camera movements, Autobots, which are, in use, especially in both in the world of virtual production, where you can actually use, you can have AI systems study spatial spaces and then plan out camera movements. The other place which is AI services, so interoperability, compliance. There are lots of industries around the world which have compliance issues. Like in India, for example, every time there's someone smoking on screen, you need to insert a line that says smoking is injurious to health. Now you have AI models that are analyzing films frame by frame by frame and auto inserting these lines. There are many countries where all alcohol bottles, the labels have to be blurred. Again, that is being done through AI. So there's a lot of AI services which are being used for interoperability and compliance. Data-centric AI, so metadata-based workflows. Virtual production is a metadata-based workflow. And in order to use that best, you need data-centric AI, and you need to make sure that AI is really building itself and understanding metadata and how that works. Edge AI, with cloud costs going through the roof, it's very important that we start to look at what edge AI can do and how it can sit on the edge between on-prem and cloud, and how it's able to analyze each task that's coming its way and decide what to send to the cloud and what to you do on-prem. And it's extremely important to make sure that your cost is made more efficient, and that your cloud usage is more efficient, and you're making full usage of on-prem architecture. So and then there's AI engineering, which is used for many things, whether it's compression, encryption. We recently had the 2024 Olympics, which was live streamed in 8K. Through a encryption decryption protocol that Intel had created. And they used significant AI to plan out a frame by frame compression as well as encryption of live an 8K feed that was coming in. So it's multiple usage, right? So these are some of the spaces. So these four are some of the ways where AI can help us in the media and entertainment industry. But now the question to ask is, how can I help AI? Because that's almost as important, if not more important, than how AI helps us. And here is really where there isn't too much work, because at the user end or at the AI level, we don't really understand how critical it is to do some of these functions. So DLA, data labeling and annotation, AI systems don't really know anything. They don't understand anything. They only learn from the information that is fed to them. The information that is fed to them includes a lot of data labeling, metadata. So it's very important that we are as precise and as accurate with all kinds of data labeling as possible. And this has started to bear out, where inappropriate or incorrectly created content or wrong content going on the internet is making RAG, retrieval access, and kind of showing us, by AI systems, it's made it more and more and more complicated. So we need to make sure that the data sets that the AI are learning on are well labeled. First principles AI, physics informed AI. AI doesn't understand physics. It doesn't understand what materials are. It doesn't really understand laws of physics or any of those. So you have to teach it. You have to make sure that it is able to understand complex engineering systems and model-based systems, so that it understands how to create a protocol, how to create a system when there are two different materials or two different dynamics in play. Causal AI, is cause and effect relationship. When you do X, Y happens. When you do Y, Z happens. You need to teach AI that. It doesn't understand cause. It doesn't understand cause and effect. Knowledge graphs, these are very, very important, because AI is not always able to understand the difference between the physical world and the digital world, where the physical world stops and the digital world starts. What is possible in the physical world? What is possible in the digital world? You need to create a knowledge graph which helps them to understand what is the relationship between the physical and the digital world, which are between people and companies and digital assets. Right? So these are some areas where we need to make sure that AI is done well. Some more areas, which is rules. Now we'll have multi-agent systems that are interacting with each other. An AI system which is a large action model, or which is kind of doing a particular job. Oftentimes you need to interact with another AI system, and that is an MAS, that is a multi-agent system operation or an action. Now, how do you teach AI to behave? How do you teach AI to interact well with each other? It's like teaching kindergarten kids to interact with each other and to be social and to kind of work with each other and be part of quote unquote team player. So this is very, very important. Otherwise, you will have deep conflicts with AI systems which will mess up everything. The two most important ones that come after this are AI TRISM, right? Which is model governance, trustworthiness, fairness, reliability, robustness, efficacy, data protection. This is also where ethics comes in. And this is one area which is extremely critical. If we fail on the ethical front for AI, almost everything else will go out of the window. And in this case, actually, what I wanted to talk about was how India is actually ahead of the world in many such cases. And I'm just going to share a few articles with you about that. So way back in 2002, November, we had India's first legal case around what is called likeness rights. So what does an actor, what rights do they possess? And in that, they had included a lot of AI created content, and the courts are quite specific on what those rights were. And I just want to share a couple of articles around that. So this is from November 2022, December 2022, where one of India's biggest stars, Amitabh Bachchan, won a suit for personality rights. Now, this was just when AI was around the corner. It hadn't really picked up, but it did kind of set a precedent and created a structure for what are personality rights and how are they to be protected. There are other examples. For the same. Oops, don't know what happened here. Okay, sorry. I don't know what's going on. Yeah. So, we've had other personality rights being protected all the way since 2023. Now, later on, closer to current time, we've had a couple of marquee judgments by our courts where they protected very, very specific rights, which were, a lot of them are AI created content around actors and around their specific personalities and mannerisms, voice, signature, images, a pose or a mannerism. So these are, very, very future-thinking judgments that have been passed by Indian courts, where they have allocated the intellectual property rights of these to the actor themselves. Even no matter who has created them using what software, if it is in the likeness or name, image, voice, you can't use it for commercial purposes. And this has really gone a long way into making sure that ethical AI is really well preserved and well protected. We know a lot of international courts which have started to reference some of these cases that have been fought in India. So, here I would say, ethics, yes, it is a big problem globally. In India, we're thankfully way ahead of the rest of the world. And that's something that, we're quite pleased about. Let me just get back to the presentation. Sorry. Yeah, so this is where we were. TRISM is extremely important. And the last is responsible AI, to make sure that, we are making sure that it's not affecting individuals, where it's not, that AI is positive, accountable. And here is where we've seen a couple of pretty serious recent cases, which is quite worrying, where you actually had the Google AI chatbot Gemini come back to us with, some really dangerous responses to questions. So sorry. If you look at this as an issue, it's really a problem, because you can't really have AI give these kind of responses to students. You're not special. I mean, this is really, really dangerous. And we need to make sure that this is, that this is nipped in the bud, and this kind of quote unquote behavior by, for whatever reason, the AI system was trained or a glitch that resulted in this kind of response really needs to be cut off very, very quickly. Let's go back to the presentation. Yeah. So both TRISM and responsible AI are super critical. Now that we've spoken about, the whole, how do we, hell happened? Okay, sorry. That how do we help AI? And now the next question is, okay, this is fine, but is there a business model around AI? And there is the business model around AI, and it's important that we look at it. So if you look at the AI opportunity in the media and entertainment industry, it is actually quite prominent, right? So if you break up the work being done in AI in 4 tiers, so tier 4, tier 3, tier 2, tier 1, and you look at it on 3 axes, so which is tech. So if you see tier 4 is low tech, little to no human input, and this is happening. A lot of work is happening here. So if you look at at the bottom, the work being done, made the graph and the consumer expectations graph. So there is a lot of work happening in news aggregation, compression, encryption, captioning. But the consumer is not really looking at that as AI and is not really willing to allocate value to it or pay for it separately because it's AI done, right? A lot of our news feeds are AI fed. A lot of compression, encryption, captioning is being done by AI. The tier 3 is where you have promos, you have audio books, you have press kits, you have audio descriptions. A lot of those are done by AI, which is still high tech, and there is still some amount of human input. And there is decent amount of work being done. But again, the consumer expectations are low. Tier 2 is where we are now currently starting to do a lot of work on, which is low budget original content, kids animation content, low end games. Today, it's very easy to make a mobile game in under 1 day using AI, using code that exists. library content repurposing. And this is something that we really want to talk about, because with good quality space retargeting of images, it's really possible for you to repurpose your existing old content in multilingual and for multiple countries. You can also upscale it quality-wise, both in terms of picture and sound. And I really want to give an example about this so that you understand this, and then we'll come back to tier one. So this is just one example that was recently seen. It's a company called Flawless. It's a Swedish company where I happened to be on the same panel as the person. And this I thought was extremely good. Now, one sec, just let me. So if we just have a look at this video.
Men du, vi är något stort på spåren här. Och senast det hände så var det en solospelare som saboterade.
As you can see, the original language is Swedish.
Mitt förslag är att vi försöker lösa det här, men vi gör det tillsammans. You know.
And we have had another actor do the voice in
English.
English.
Time it happened, another maverick sabotaged everything.
And the face and the lips retargeting has happened by AI.
We try to resolve this, but
what is unique about this is that it's also being able to match the timing. So, for example, if a particular dialogue is shorter in English than in Swedish, it's able to match that with the turn of the head and make the cuts automatically. So this I think is a breakthrough in multilingual content creation. So I was speaking over it, so I just wanted to play it back again.
We're on to something big here. And the last time it happened, another maverick sabotaged everything. I say, we try to resolve this, but we do it together.
This is just one example where library content is being repurposed. You have low budget originals, yes, you have kids games, animation, and then tier one. Tier one is where there is a lot of consumer expectations, where they're all expecting AI to make these big theatrical series or original series or franchise series or big games, which is not really at this point of time a reality. So work being done is actually very low in these areas, and it needs very, very high tech and very, very high human talent. So I think this is maybe a couple of years away. But tier two is really where a lot of work is happening now, and I'm glad it's happening, because we should be using AI to make our life better. So as we look specifically at AI in the film and entertainment industry, where is it used? So it's used in ideation, it's used in pre-production, production, and post-production. So AI-driven visual effects, audio, cinematography, previs. Now, in addition to looking at it on the horizontal, you also have to look at it on the vertical, which is what is the impact of AI? So what are you using AI for? So there are some people who are using AI for just to continue to do what they're doing now, right? Just to defend their way of work and the size of the business, right? So just to continue the standard growth, user growth curve, basic incrementalism, marginal gains, and micro innovations. To extend, some of them are using it to extend the growth in their market size, reach, revenue, or profitability. And the third one is to revolutionize, is to completely upend the market and to kind of create a whole new market, right? So just like I said, so the AI is used for continuance, to grow, and to revolutionize. Now, when you take these three verticals and then marry it with the horizontals, what you get is a chart like this, where just for very specific use cases, you have to analyze AI in such a way that for screenwriting, where is it? For previs, where is it? Location scouting, production scheduling, cinematography, visual effects, audio. Now, these are just 7. There are many other skill sets where AI will come in. And the most important thing is, as new platforms get launched, this changes every day. and hence we have to respond to it every day. Now, looking at that, the question is AI and academics. So how does academics now treat AI? And the three questions that we ask is, what do we need to leave in the curriculum? What do we need to replace? Given the new AI platforms that are coming in, do we need to change the way we teach? What is core and what is non-core to each skill set or job role? And how do we analyze this with the kind of filter of cost benefit analysis of time versus value, given that we only have so much time with students and we want to deliver maximum value? So what is the best? How much is the best to teach and how much is to include AI platforms? So this is the question that we really need to ask. And when you ask this question, what you arrive at is at this chart. Sorry, I'm going to move this here so that, yeah. So for each and every skill set within the media and entertainment industry at large, so in film, in animation, gaming, music, fashion, design, all these areas, you have to ask three questions. So the question to ask is, how can we use AI to make our work better? How can we make AI better? Which are the two most important questions that we spoke about initially. And then what is the industry impact? Is it currently in use just to defend it or to extend it or to append it? And given these three, how much of AI do we need to include into the skill set, into the standard teaching curriculum for any particular skill set? And the interesting thing again with this is that it will change. It will change every single, pretty much, week, if not every month, with so many new platforms coming in. So there's plenty of work ahead of us when you look at us as academics who are reviewing AI and who are looking at how do we answer the question, what next? So essentially the next step that we are going to be taking as academics is reviewing all the AI tools, deciding what is core and what is non-core, and then deciding the cost-benefit analysis of time versus value and updating our curriculum based on the same. So this is what our goal is, and this is what I wanted to present, looking at AI as an overview, looking at the industry usage of AI, looking at how do we evaluate it as academics. The great thing about this is that a lot of the ethical questions have actually been answered, at least in India's case. The industry is well aware of where to use it, where not to use it. If they're well aware that you can't really copyright any content that is being created using AI. So these are all things that have started to settle down, and hence we have started to see, some amount of responsible usage of AI. And that's a good thing for us. So thank you so much. I hope this was useful, and I hope I'm really sorry again I couldn't make it, but I hope this was useful for you. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Vice President of Lingwood International, for their presentation. And next we have Mr. Cho Kwang-hee from Law Firm Partners, who will present on the topic copyright infringement during the development and training process of AI. Can we check the computer first? Okay, so Mr. Cho Kwang-hee graduated from Seoul National University School of Law and passed the 32nd Korean bar examination with over 30 years of experience. He has served as an adjunct professor at Chungang University School of Law, an executive committee member for Busan International Film Festival, and vice president of the Korean Film Producers Association. He also was the CEO of the production company Spring Films. Currently, he is a partner lawyer at Barun Law and has authored several notable works, including Legal Guide for Filmmakers, the novel Reset, and The Court of Humans, the essay After All Life, and the recent novel The Novelist of the Night. So whenever you're ready, you may begin. Okay, please wait a second while we organize things. Hi everyone, I am attorney Cho Kwang-hee. I think I should give you some brief remarks before I give my presentation. I was invited to this forum, and hence I'm giving this presentation. And in my introduction, I'm sure you heard that I am doing other things rather than being an attorney, So on a side, I write novels. I've been doing so for about 6 years. I'm actually not an AI expert, but the second novel that I wrote was titled The Court of Humans. It was about AI committing a crime, committing a murder, and going through a trial in court. And also this year in April, I published The Novelist of the Night, and that, in a turn of events, turned out to be about AI and a human novelist. So I think some people perceive me as this expert of AI, but the thing is, I really don't know about the technicalities of AI. I just know about it from a humanistic perspective. I did some research after I was invited to this forum about AI. In my attorney work, I usually deal with cases in the entertainment industry, which is why I understand about copyright issues. But I don't research copyright infringement regarding AI on a daily basis, and I'm not that well aware about, as I mentioned, the technology of AI. I did some quick studying before this forum, and I found out that there actually were a lot of books and papers regarding copyright infringement of AI. So this forum was actually an opportunity for me to do some studying myself. And out of all of these different issues, I found that one of the main issues in the AI industry was copyright infringement in the development and learning process of AI. So this is a very important legal issue these days. And I felt like it wouldn't be right to talk about this problem in depth in today's international forum, which is why I decided to introduce you to this issue and what I've understood about it. So the concern regarding copyright, which protects original work expressing human thoughts and emotions, actually began not that long time ago. Regarding property, there's the law in the Roman times, but it began to be institutionalized a few hundred years ago. People before then didn't think that they owned work that they wrote or created. So in the 15th century, with the advent of printing technology, states started to grant patents to printers and publishers. And then it wasn't until the 18th century that copyright evolved into a system designed to protect authors. From what I remember, novelists in Europe started to have questions about why they were the creators, but then the publishers and the printers were getting all of the money from the patents. So then was when copyright was developed to protect the authors. However, copyright by nature is a field profoundly influenced by technological advancement. So every time new media or technological tools are emerged, copyright law undergoes significant changes to incorporate them into its framework. So the advent of video and broadcasting greatly impacted copyright law, while the digital and internet eras brought about revolutionary changes as well. So now we face an era where the development of AI demands new interpretations and challenges for copyright law. Alongside the advancement of AI, phenomena that are difficult to address with traditional copyright concepts have emerged, necessitating proactive efforts to reform institutional frameworks. So this presentation will focus on briefly examining copyright-related issues, specifically in the context of AI development and learning processes. AI secures and learns from big data, identifying patterns and gaining the ability to answer various questions based on them. Legally, the training data used in these processes can be categorized as follows. First is works protected by copyright. So it needs to be in this category. Second, data not classified as works but protected under the rights of database creators. Third, data used without permission constituting a violation of the Unfair Competition Prevention Act. So this discussion will primarily focus on copyright infringement. Now, in general, copyright issues are unlikely to arise during AI development and learning in the following cases. First of all, when the source material was not created by humans. So basically, according to copyright law, for you to be the copyright holder, you have to be a human. You can't be a monkey or an AI. You have to be a human to be a copyright holder. Also, when the material lacks originality, it is therefore not protected as a work that is copyrighted. And third, when the material does not qualify as a database protected by substantial investment in its collection and processing. And fourth, when the copyright of the material has expired. You can use these kinds of materials to train your AI. However, if it is copyrighted work, then a big problem arises. However, it appears practically impossible for AI to identify and exclude copyrighted works during large-scale data training. This means that reproduction and transmission rights, which fall under the copyright holder's rights, may be infringed. That said, AI's method of utilizing copyrighted works differs significantly from the traditional use cases anticipated by current copyright law. Therefore, it's necessary to examine how this utilization should be viewed within the legal framework. So when AI processes, so there's a perspective that AI's process of analyzing and quantifying copyrighted works using big data fundamentally differs from how humans understand or utilize such works. So basically, AI is not enjoying the expressions within a copyrighted work. AI is utilizing these copyrighted work in a different manner. So the big issue is how should we look at this from a legal perspective? But the thing is, we cannot determine that AI cannot use such work because it doesn't use it in the form that humans use it. Also, some argue that it is practically impossible for AI to obtain prior consent from copyrighted holders during its vast learning processes. Nevertheless, this reasoning alone cannot fully justify copyright infringement. Instead, alternative approaches that take into account unique characteristics of AI can be used, such as post-use compensation systems. So these are some issues regarding AI. The first is the issue of fair use. So AI frequently collect vast amounts of publicly available data from the internet using web crawling techniques. This process inevitably involves the reproduction and transmission of copyrighted works, activities that are generally protected under copyright law. For instance, there's an article that says when a work is used on a computer, it may be temporarily reproduced on the computer within the scope deemed necessary for smooth and efficient information processing. However, this does not apply if the use of the work constitutes copyright infringement. Ultimately, the legality of the activity will likely depend on whether it qualifies as a fair use under Article 335-5 of the Copyright Act. So a few years ago, this was stipulated in the Korean law here. And let me read what it says. A work may be used if such work does not conflict with the normal exploitation of the work and does not unreasonably prejudice the legitimate interest of the copyright owner. So I know that this is very difficult wording, but basically, let's say that you're writing a paper. If you know how you use annotations, so phrases of other papers, you don't get consent from the writers of those papers, right? Because you reference them. If you use a reasonable amount and you put annotations of their papers as reference points, then that can be deemed as fair use. And if you watch a film A, and in that film A, the protagonist is watching a movie. You can think of the scene in Love Letter, a Japanese movie. There was actually a loss of file regarding a scene from that. So basically, a protagonist of a film was watching Love Letter in the scene, and the Japanese movie distributor saw that the scene was used without consent and filed a lawsuit against the Korean filmmaker, but that was deemed as a just use. So basically, a lot of things need to be considered, and the most important things to be considered are whether it is for profit or not for profit, if it is a just use basically, and if it is used for academic reasons, and also the nature and purpose of the work, the proportion and significance of the part used in relation to the entire work, the effect of the use on the current or potential market value of the work. But the thing is, these are very ambiguous and sometimes lead to judgments that are different case by case. And the argument for considering such uses as fair use is based on the points that first, the reproduction and transmission of data for the purpose of training generative AI are seen as actions that create new insights and value for users, and the training itself does not constitute an independent expressive act. So it's a transformative use, which is why it is okay. And second, requiring individual permission for data use in training would hinder technological advancement. So that is the second argument made. And third, the scope of AI training data is so vast that the proportion of any specific copyrighted work is minimal. And that is also another argument made for arguing for fair use of AI. However, there is skepticism about whether it is persuasive to view the mechanical use of existing copyright works by big tech companies without compensation as fair use, especially when the use generates astronomical profits now or in the future. So basically, efforts to reach agreements within the industry and the establishment of new intelligent governmental policies are urgently needed. And there's also TDM, which is text and data mining. There's issues surrounding TDM exemptions. So TDM is basically statistically analyzing a text and finding patterns. That technology is TDM. And also there's the trend to have exemptions for TDM. And these exemptions are sometimes stipulated individually, or sometimes they're just included in the fair use. For EU, if it's for academic uses, it's classified as exemption, and for Japan, broad exemptions have been adopted under the rationale that primary use of copyrighted work is to enjoy the ideas and emotions expressed in them. Now, South Korea has also proposed amendments to its laws drawing on these international legislative examples. However, given the presence of fair use provisions in Korea's Copyright Act, it would be premature to hastily introduce TDM exemptions clauses without thorough prior discussions. Third is legislative trends and disputes. So on November 26th, the National Assembly Science, ICT, Broadcasting and Communications Committee merged and reviewed a total of 19 AI-related bills proposed by bipartisan lawmakers, subsequently passing them.
법제사법위원회와 동의를 거칠 예정이다. 그리고 당시 이제
So these bills are now set to go through the Legislation and Judiciary Committee and the plenary session of the National Assembly. So given the lack of disagreement between political parties, it's expected that the bills will pass the plenary session before the end of the year. Now, this was what I thought when I was drafting this script. But right now, when we look at the situation of the National Assembly, this is not going to pass by the end of the year, fortunately. So,
동의와 관련해서
upon reviewing one of the bills, I found the following provisions that were relevant to the discussion at hand. For instance, the Minister of Science and ICT shall establish and implement policies necessary to promote the production, collection, management, distribution, and utilization of training data used for the development and application of AI. I'm sure that this is just too difficult language for you. I'm not even getting it. The government may carry out training data construction projects and, for their efficient implementation, establish and manage and integrate a system to provide and manage training data comprehensively. This system should be made freely accessible to the private sector. So these are some of the provisions that are related to my presentation in point. And I couldn't find any clauses regarding copyright infringement. So when there's new technology and new legislation is drafted, there's one standpoint that looks at it from the standpoint of technological development, and there's the other standpoint that views it from the regulation side. Right now in Korea, I think that we are focusing on the forehand part. And now let's go to the dispute cases. So when we look at dispute cases in textbook or the ones that we can gain access of, I think they're all cases from the US. 2 to 3 weeks ago, I don't think that this was reported through media, but public broadcasting companies reportedly were preparing lawsuits after failing to reach a copyright agreement with Naver. And right now, these public broadcasting companies are going to different law firms and asking them to participate in the bidding. And they also came to my law firm as well. So let me introduce some international cases. First, there's Getty Images versus Stability Diffusion. So Getty Images filed a lawsuit against Stability AI, the developer of the AI-powered image generation tools. So Getty alleges that Stability AI unlawfully used over 12 million of its images, seeking damages amounting to 1.8 billion. And Wall Street Journal versus OpenAI is a big dispute. So these two parties reached a settlement valued at 250 million over 5 years of negotiations to resolve disputes. And there's New York Times vs. OpenAI and others. So the New York Times attempted to negotiate a licensing agreement with OpenAI for the use of its news content, but failed to reach an agreement. And in April 2024, the dispute over news copyright infringement escalated when 8 media outlets, including the New York Daily News and Chicago Tribune, filed lawsuits against OpenAI and Microsoft. So these outlets claim that the companies used millions of copyrighted articles owned by the media organizations to develop generative AI without proper authorization or compensation. And also, George R.R. Martin, the author of Game of Thrones, along with John Grisham and other prominent writers, filed a class action lawsuit against OpenAI. So in conclusion, AI technology is advancing at an unprecedented pace day by day, and it remains exceptionally challenging to clearly determine whether copyright infringement occurs during AI's learning processes. Moreover, fundamental concepts underpinning copyright law, such as creation, fair use, use of works, and copyright infringement
이번 개념들조차도
must now be redefined and re-evaluated. So given the rapid advancement of AI, it is difficult for laws and systems to keep up. For the time being, disputes between AI companies and existing content copyright holders will inevitably rise, leading to a surge in lawsuits and individual negotiations. Some of these disputes will be resolved amicably through licensing agreements, while others will require legal rulings to reach a conclusion. So this period of confusion and the uncertainty will persist until the results of various lawsuits and legislative studies give rise to a new copyright paradigm tailored to the AI era and its institutionalization. Until then, diverse conflict and turmoil are unavoidable. However, this phenomenon is not unique to the AI era. It's a recurring pattern that occurs whenever innovative technologies designed under a new paradigm come into conflict with existing systems based on older paradigms. So as we draft new legislation and regulation, we have to find the right balance between AI and copyright protection. Also, there's a lot of blind spots in the current legislation, which is why we need to create new legal documents, and we need to gather the opinions of course, copyright holders, policymakers, and so forth. Thank you very much. This is it for my presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Cho, for your insight. Next, we have Ms. Eva Soria Puch, Director of the Barcelona Cultural Institute, who will present on the topic AI-related legal frameworks in Europe and their impact on the film industry. Eva Soria Puch holds a PhD in law, awarded cum laude for her dissertation on contemporary art and intellectual property, along with advanced degrees in contemporary philosophy, intellectual property and international law, art history, and art conservation. With over 20 years of experience in cultural management, she is currently a professor of intellectual property at the Open University of Catalonia and a board member of ALA-DDA, an association dedicated to the defense of literary and artistic copyright. Please welcome her with a warm round of applause.
So thank you very much for having me here. I'm going to try to speak slowly so the translators can do their job very impeccably like they've been doing up until now. And I'm going to talk about two things today. One is the law, the new legal AI framework of Europe, which was the first one that was comprehensive and that tried to legislate AI at all levels. So this legislation, this new law on artificial intelligence, touch up on the culture issues only very little, and I'm going to explain why. Okay. The second thing that I'm going to talk about is the issue of authorship, which is very important for all of you that are in the film industry. If you don't know if you are the author or if the law considers you the author of the work that you are presenting in a film festival, like the Busan AI Film Festival, for example, you're not going to have any rights on this work. And I'm going to explain how that works and what the law provides for it. The law needs to be changed. And this is, you know, we've all talked about legal frames, and I think this is an issue that it's so obvious, and this is a call for action. All of you that are here that are working with AI and then think that AI is a tool for creativity, the law is going to change very soon. It's going to change very rapidly. It's going to happen everywhere in the world, in Korea, in Europe, everywhere in the States. And it's very important to raise your voice and to get organized through your associations. So the legal frame know what the artist creators want. So let's go to slide 1. So this is what the AI, the European Artificial Intelligence Act, does. What it does is it defines the risk of AI tools. And there are four tiers of these risks. One is the minimal risk, What is this for? This is for spam filters, video games. That imposes a very, very little risk for users. So the only thing that it requires for the developers is a code of conduct. So it's basically saying this was created for AI, right? Then there is the limited risk. These are the chat books. They get very personalized. The companies that are developing AI tools that are considered limited risk, what they do is they have to ensure that they're being completely transparent about what AI is being used for. What is that for? This is, for example, for when you're using synthetic video, text, images, all these machine-readable format and detectable as artificially generated or manipulated works, right? Then there is the high-risk things that are doing by AI. This is very complicated for the developers to comply, and the law makes it really hard for them. What is this for? This is, for example, when this needs like human supervision. And these are, for example, for when a company needs to use AI for recruitment. What does that mean? I have a bunch of applications for one position, and I have AI reading all them. So what do I need? I need human supervision, and I need very, very clear data set to process this. This is high-risk AI devices. What is not acceptable by European legislation, what is not acceptable is AI tools that manipulate human behavior. For example, toys for children that use voice assistants, or that encourage dangerous behavior in minors. Also, very important, social scoring. What is social scoring? For example, when a government or a company is using social scoring for certain applications. For example, when you want to get a loan, that is unacceptable, and European community, the European law, will not accept it. There are very limited exceptions to that, and this is, for example, when there are high stakes at risk. For example, when it's a matter of like national security. In that case, Europe would let you use biometric identification. But other than that, it's not possible. Then, when the AI Act will enter into force, it's got 2 years. What does that mean? That all the countries will have 2 years to implement these laws. European law does not enter into force until the different countries apply it to its legal legislation. This, it's gonna have to be all done by August 2nd, 2027. But as you see here in the slide, there are like different provisions, like for example, the ones that have to do with AI literacy. What that means is the provisions that you have to have telling everyone that what you're using is AI, that was not generated by a human, but by a machine. You only will have 6 months to incorporate this law in your legislation if you're a European country. Very important. A lot of people think that it's going to be very, very hard to enforce this legislation. The European system has come up with a very complex, I think maybe a little bit too complex way to make sure that this is going to be enforced the right way. So national authorities, which means like the actual states, will be responsible for overseeing and enforcing the rules for AI systems. That means the classification of risk of AI is going to be determined by every single country, and the European Union is going to be responsible for governing general purpose AI models. So this is very confusing. Who is going to have the competence to do what? It's going to be, we're going to see how that works when the laws are implemented. There is going to be an AI board that is going to be created with representatives from member states, groups from national regulators, other authorities. There is going to be an AI office that is created right now, a commission that will be implementing the AI Act. And there are going to be advisory bodies that will provide expert input, a scientific panel, an advisory forum. So lots of people, lots of jobs are going to be created to make sure that this law is implemented properly. So now, let's go to the issue that I think that is really relevant to this forum, to why we're here talking about AI. This is Rain Film Festival. Is a festival that is in Barcelona. It's the third international AI festival that we host this year. It's like the Busan AI festival. So for all of you that are content creators, you know, Busan and Barcelona, one thing in common, an AI festival. And what happens if you apply, if you submit a work to a festival like the Rain Festival or the Busan AI Festival? Are you an author? Let's see what the law says. In order to be protected by the intellectual property law, a work of art or a work created by an artist has to have 4 things. And this is originality. It has to be an expression. That means it doesn't have to be an idea. It has to be artistic, scientific, or literary, and it has to have an author. In order to have a work that is protected by intellectual property, these 4 things have to be found in this particular work. What is originality? Originality means that the creator takes decisions that are free and that are creative. What does that mean? It means that if I hand you a piece of paper and I say, draw an elephant, each of you are going to draw an elephant that is going to be different. So you're making creative decisions. This is good enough by the law to be protected by intellectual property, just because you've been able to make creative decisions. Expression, not an idea. What does that mean? Ideas are not protected by intellectual property. Conceptual art is not protected by intellectual property. What has happened is that IP has created a distance between some works of art and what is not and what is protected by intellectual property. A toaster can be protected by intellectual property, and a work of conceptual art sometimes is not protected by IP. This is a little bit strange, but it's what happens now with the law that we have. Artistic, scientific, literary works, what does that mean? The instructions to set up your iPhone are not protected by intellectual property laws. Why? Because they're not artistic, they're not scientific, they can be literary, maybe. The answer is not. Only the creative arenas, the creative works are protected by IP. And the key of the question here, they have to have a human author, that's very important. So is the work, a work that is done by an animal, by plants, by machines, is this protected by intellectual property law? Let's see what the law says. So I don't know if you're familiar with this case. It's a little bit old. It's from 2015. There was this very famous anthropologist that was David Slater, who created a device that looked like an iPhone and gave that device to a group of monkeys that he was studying to see whether monkeys and humans would have the same behavior with something that you press a button and you see yourself, right? What did the monkeys do? They took pictures of themselves. They took selfies. He wrote a very broad study. This study was published by this very famous anthropologist magazine. And then this magazine saw how these pictures were copied, illegally copied, or without permission by another magazine copying the article and the pictures. Was the original magazine able to do anything about that? And the answer was no. Why? Because IP only protects the works that are done by human. Pictures that were done by monkeys, that were taken by monkeys, are not protected by intellectual property. So second magazine could copy, no problem, the pictures made by the monkeys. All the money that was invested on creating this machine and for the first magazine to pay David Slater was lost. This was not protected. Second thing, very interesting case too. Chapman Kelly, is an artist, an American artist, that was commissioned by the Chicago Park District, a land art work. This was an intervention on a park, and the intervention was, you see the picture up there? It was this like round form of flowers that was very intricate. He chose the seeds of the original flowers that were in Chicago and disposed all the seeds in a particular way. So the output, the flowers that would come up, would have a particular shape, a particular color, and that would form the work of art that he was intending. What happened? Chicago Park District had to do some renovation of the space, and how did it look like? Picture on the right. Completely changed, right? Chapman Kelly, sued the Chicago Park District and said, you have modified without my consent my work of art, and I want to be compensated for it because you have infringed my moral right of integrity. What did the court had to look at? The first thing that they have to do was, is this a work, that a creation that is protected by intellectual property? And they said no. Why? Because who is taking the decisions here? Not the artist, but the seeds. What is going to determine the color of the flowers, the way how they bloom? The seeds, not the author. In other words, and what is very important for our discussion here is when human loses control of the outcome, of the form, of the work that they're doing, this does not have the protection of intellectual property. Very important. So let's see what happens when there is work done created by machines. This is the Théâtre d'Opéra Spatial. It's a work of art that was created by an American artist and was submitted in a very, very famous contest. It's an art festival and won. And then when the jury discovered that this was done by artificial intelligence, they said, wait a minute, who is the author of it? And then the author said, it's me and it's AI. And they removed the award from him because they said, you cannot use AI. That was not in the basis and in the regulations of the contest, but that's what the jury said. So that sparked a big controversy and a lot of talk in the US on whether you can use AI to co-create or whether anything that is done by AI is not worth of the protection of intellectual property. This is a case, Thaler versus Permuter. This is a little bit later. It's in August 2023. Permuter is the copyright register of the US. So this author, Thaler, wanted to sign in to register this work in the Copyright Office in the US. In order to exploit your work, you have to have it registered in the Copyright Office. So he said, that was done with the help of AI. And then the copyright officer said, I'm not going to register that for you. So as of now, all the proof that we have is that any works that have at least in some capacity have been created with the help of AI are not recognized intellectual property rights, okay? this is still holding, this is still pending. We don't know what's going to happen with this case because it's not resolved yet. On the other side of the equation, and the precedent speaker spoke a little bit about this, Getty and other title holders of intellectual property rights are suing all the AI applications that we've been talking about for copyright infringement. The Getty case, which is still on the courts, it's going to go against the AI. But why? Because look, there is the watermark here. So Stable Diffusion, which was in this case the tool that was used to copy more than 12 million images of Getty, came out with this image and other images like this one, and that unfortunately for Stable Diffusion have the watermark of Getty images. So this is a very tough case for them to win because Getty can very easily prove that one of their images was used to come up with this. What is this? In legal terms, we consider that this is the right of transformation, which is you take one precedent image, you make a new one. In order to do that, you need the transfer of rights, you need a license. And in this case, there was no license. So what is going to happen now? What are countries going to do? It is very, very unlikely that title holders, that the creators, will have control over what is copied and what is not copied in order to train these images. Why? Because the traceability is really, really, really hard to do technically. Those of you who are more in the technical, who are experts on how the AI works, know that. Now, AI is a lot more sophisticated than the one that was used by Stable Diffusion to create this image. And they use millions and millions and millions of works that are protected by AI. What is going to happen? That states are going to enact what they call compulsory licenses. What does that mean? That any creator that can prove that any of their pictures is in the internet is going to have a little bit of a compensation for that matter. Is that a good idea? My opinion is no. Why? Because we're stripping the right for every individual creator to go and sue or basically just like opt out. Like, I don't want my work of art, my creation, to be in the internet feeding all these AI machines, right? What is going to happen? What would be a good solution? What some legislators are hoping for? Instead of protecting the works of art, let's protect the creators, the artists. The creators are creators of content. Time out. Okay, I'm just going to finish this sentence. The creators are creators of content. How many of their works are going to be copied by AI machines is really hard. It's not going to be able to. We're not going to be able to technically solve this anytime soon. So best thing to do now is protect the authors. So that means switching the object of protection from the subject of protections. And maybe having artists being, having like a minimal wage or some solution like that would solve for now the problem that we will have with artists not being paid for their jobs and the works that are feeding the AI machines. And I'm going to finish here. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Eva Solia Pucci. Last but not least, we will hear from the director, General of Creation, Distribution and Marketing, and Chief Programming Officer at the National Film Board of Canada. I'm talking about Risha Kumie. He will speak on the topic Reflections on the Role of Public Film Institutions in the AI era. He has over 30 years of experience in audiovisual production, post-production, content creation, and the innovative use of technology across Canada and the U.S. At the age of 24, he co-founded Buzz Image, Canada's first post-production studio, and after that, he has held senior management positions in Los Angeles and New York, leading groundbreaking creative projects. Currently, he oversees creation, distribution, and programming at the National Film Board of Canada and is serving as the jury member for this year's Busan International AI Film Festival. Please give him a big round of applause.
Hi, everybody. 안녕하세요. So I'm going to switch this in Korean just to hear how I sound in Korean for a second. Hi, my name is Richard Cormier. Okay. Well, I thought I could hear myself speak in Korean, and I switched. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't. Oh, very interesting. Thank you. So before I get into the formal presentation, I want to share a few thoughts. First, I'm so happy I'm not a lawyer and I have to legislate, because I think it's going to be very complicated. I've been in innovation for actually probably 40 years. So I've seen many innovation directly affecting or impacting content production. And I have a pretty relaxed approach with technology because 40 years later, I'm still here talking about it, and I've been through some major changes in content creation. And I trust that either our industry or humanity can handle transformations. And I think that will be the same thing with AI. I think what is most disturbing with AI is the velocity of which it's impacting the world in our own craft and in terms of ethics and copyrights infringements potentially, but it does and it will bring a lot of probably advancement and creativity. So I'm looking forward to see this. I don't look again at AI as in what's happening in the last 12 months, what's going to happen in the next 12 months, but more the impact of AI over the next few decades. So I'm glad I'm not a lawyer, but I think there will be a lot of regulation and legislation coming. I hope that legislation will be a bit dynamic since this is a fast evolving technology. You know, I think the law should evolve at the pace or at least keep pace with the evolution of technology. So we'll see how that comes out in the future. So I want to share those thoughts. Now I'll jump into my official presentation. Thank you. So I'm honored to talk to you today about the impact of AI on a public film institution like the National Film Board of Canada. Oops, I'm sorry. So before we start, you might ask yourself, what is the National Film Board of Canada and why it does exist? Our mission is to interpret Canada in all its beautiful complexity to Canadians. We are filmmakers, producers, editors, animators, musicians, and programmers, developers, and many other creatives who tell stories, create portraits, and who recounts eras and regions of Canada. Some say the National Film Board is like a mirror that shows Canada to itself. It was created by the Canadian government because in 1939, they felt there was a need for Canadians to know Canada and to know Canadian stories. When I think about AI, the word that comes to mind is change. Time will tell how this specific change will impact the world, but the NFB is not going to patiently wait and see. In the 1900s, around 130,000 horses worked in Manhattan and 300,000 horses worked in London, while some people were excited by the promise of cleaner streets, modern transportation, and new economic opportunities. Others, such as horse carriage drivers, were scared and angry. These people were facing disruption, understandably fearing for their own economic realities. Looking back, we now know the automobile industry went on to completely transform the world for better or for worse. But of course, that wasn't a foreseeable future at the time. Like automobile, some innovation disrupt deeply entrenched systems, norms, and values, and the story is always the same. We are faced with the impossible challenge of predicting the consequences and ramification of such innovation. These images show a traveling NFB projectionist bringing films and discussions to rural community across Canada in the 1940s. Technological advances have enabled us to improve the way we distribute our films and to utilize projectionists differently and to reach a wider audience. In that sense, new technologies are just like automobiles. They force us to let go of familiar past and imagine an unknown future. They transform our collective. So in that sense, sorry about this, but in that sense, new technologies are just like automobiles. They force us to let go of familiar past and imagine an unknown future. They transform our collective understanding of the world, only this time at an unprecedented pace. Just open your LinkedIn. Almost every week, someone on your feed is posting about the promising new tool that will revolutionize the industry. We at the NFB have been working in this context for over 85 years, dancing the precarious dance of new technologies in film. We lived through multiple systemic technological and digital revolution transforming our field. These pictures sum it all up. This box is one of the most precious boxes at the NFB. These index cards list all the technological innovation that were born at the NFB, and more than a dozen have even been patented. I can tell you that over our 85 years of existence, we had our fair share of massive transformation, crisis, and industry shakeups. But what amazes me the most is how time and time again, filmmakers, producers, and makers have innovated to advance their projects, coming up with all sorts of tools, new technologies, and even entirely new fields of practice to turn their vision into realities. Today, AI is obviously deeply impacting the film industry in profound and multifaceted ways, from production to distribution and audience engagement. Canada has been at the forefront of the AI wave. The federal government of Canada has invested over $2 billion to support AI and digital research and innovation. It also launched the Canadian Artificial Intelligence Safety Institute to make sure Canada develops and deploys AI in safe ways, as well as helping Canadians make sense of generative AI systems and protecting them against the associated risks. The NFB is a public service. We look at AI through this lens. Taking the time to pause and reflect is necessary when working on developing new ways of integrating technology into creation. We don't want to move too fast and break things. We want to move sensibly and make things. Following the long tradition of innovation at the NFB, our end goal has always been and will always be strong storytelling. AI can enable us to expand our production film, our production limits and audience base. The promise are that we can reach more people, more rapidly. In short, to become more consumable. The question is, how should we do this? In April this year, we created an innovation lab to figure out how we should take the rapid evolution of technologies. 7 people from various backgrounds joined forces with a common goal: improving our production and distribution methods and increasing audience engagement. Part of the team mandate is to operate similarly to a think tank, with the objective of helping the NFB navigate all the various questions raised by technology in the context of creation. They have an operating budget of $1 million per year to do research and create prototypes. They collaborate with NFB employees, researchers, industry members, and universities. They have already developed more than a dozen tests, 5 in-depth research processes, and several prototypes. I'm going to try not to. 5 in-depth research processes and several prototypes. Whether ethical, operational, or technical, we want to find answers to keep growing confidently and maybe turn these questions into opportunities for the entire industry. The NFB values are reflected in our approach to AI. We respect existing laws, union agreements. We make documentaries. Our production represents the world truthfully. Our production, AI cannot interfere with this promise, even if we still don't have all our answers just yet. One thing we know for sure today is that we need to adopt a posture of humility and curiosity. For the past few years, we have been exploring AI in that spirit. Several productions have seen the light of day: Chomsky versus Chomsky, Agency, to name a few. Technology is developing too quickly for us to establish exactly how we will use it in the future. But we owe it to the creators we are working with to be responsible while staying ahead of the curve in a competitive ecosystem. That's why our innovation lab is focused on the long run. While the filmmakers, producers, animators, and all the wonderful teams at the NFB work on their creative magic, we act as a technological buffer of sorts. A group they can refer to collectively make sense of all the shifts and changes happening. For us, adoption of AI is like a marathon instead of a sprint. It's one of the most important things we learn from automobiles and similar world-changing innovation. We should always seek the bigger picture. It's not written in my speech, but think for those, that were born either after 1992 or those before 1992. That's the year of the internet. There were 50 pages on the internet, the equivalent of 50 websites in 1992. And look where we are today. We are buying our airplane tickets. We're using Waze and Uber and all kinds of services. Same with cellular. 1986 was the beginning, really, of cellular. Imagine if we didn't have cellular today. You would all be empty-handed today. So how do we do that? First, we look at the innovation. What is it? What does it work? What is its promise? What the impact we foresee? For whom? And how long? And at what cost? That's what the Innovation Lab does. We start by trying to answer our questions. We conduct research, interview experts, colleagues, and peers. We collect data. Then we design. We develop our own prototypes, following an iterative process that allows us to test our ideas incrementally, improving along the way our solutions. Let me show you some examples. First, archive. Remember when you could browse the entire internet in a day? Maybe some of you. Well, now it would take more than a few years to browse our own archives. Every institution with massive archive is facing similar struggles. Indexation and searchability are one of the toughest cookies. So for our archives, we have like 3 goals. First, accessibility. As a public service, we need to give the public access to our collection. We have unique images never seen before. Our archives are our collective memory. Our filmmakers should be able to access it and use it in their projects. Secondly, we need to free up more time for our team of archivists, removing or simplifying unnecessary steps for their workload, so they could spend more time on sharing their wells of knowledge about the collection. Finally, generate more revenue from licensing our archives and redirect this new budget into new and exciting production. There's a lot of information about a film, from macro data, such as the filmmaker's name, title, topic, style, period, etc., all the way to micro data, such as what is happening frame by frame, what colors, languages, music, and such. All these data sets were manually recorded, taking a huge amount of time from our team of archivists. We started by developing tools to automatically record everything we need to know to archive a film. Now, what used to make weeks of work can now be done in minutes. I will share a video that I've put together, not me, my team has put together. I'm going to try to play it.
10년 전 이 1분짜리 단편 영화는 캐나다 국립영화위원회 75주년을 기념하기 위해 공개되었습니다. 이 영화는 NBF의 예술적 혁신과 캐나다의 영화 유산을 보존하는 풍부한 아카이브가 결합된 훌륭한 사례입니다. 2명의 시각 연구원들은 몇 달 동안 캐나다 국립영화위원회 아카이브 팀과 함께 수백 편의 영화를 디지털화하고 잠재적인 클립을 찾기 위해 작업했습니다. 그런 다음 클립들은 포즈와 매치 컷을 위해 수동으로 분석된 후 편집자가 조립했습니다. 2024년 10월 NFB 혁신연구소와 아카이브 팀의 협력에 대한 업데이트입니다. 몬트리올의 NFB 보관소는 14,000개 이상의 타이틀을 보존하고 있으며 이 중 75%는 디지털화되어 에템포 시스템의 LTO 테이프에 저장되었습니다. 타이틀의 메타데이터는 수동으로 분석되어 미디어 자산 관리 MM 시스템에 입력됩니다. 인덱싱 과정은 클립을 보고 설명, 키워드, 샷 유형, 사람, 장소, 날씨, 조명 등의 메타데이터를 생성합니다. 이 수동 작업은 느리며 현재 자원으로는 남은 타이틀을 디지털화하고 인덱싱하는 데 30년이 걸릴 것으로 보입니다. 그렇다면 이 풍부한 캐나다 영화 역사를 어떻게 대중에게 제공할 수 있을까요? 쉽고 유용한 방식으로 말입니다. 이 문제를 해결하기 위해 일리는 몬트리올 기반 인공지능 연구소 미라와 협력했습니다. MI라는 뛰어난 대학원생 연구원 2명, 기욤 샤롱과 제레미 카우프만을 제공했으며 이들은 컴퓨터 비전, 자연어 처리, 머신러닝, 생성 AI 등 다양한 AI 도구를 활용했습니다. 몇 주간의 회의와 아카이브 팀과의 협의를 통해 전체 아카이브 작업 흐름을 파악했습니다. 각 단계를 분석하여 AI의 도움으로 가속화할 수 있는 부분을 확인했습니다. 이 과정에서 2가지 주요 과제가 나타났습니다. 인덱싱 효율성과 아카이브 검색성. 인덱싱 효율성을 위해 AI 도구를 활용해 아카이브 팀의 인덱싱 과정을 간소화하고 있습니다. 주요 영역은 장면 분할과 AI 보조 인덱싱으로 분류 및 태깅과 영상 요약으로 나눌 수 있습니다. 아카이브 검색성 개선은 아카이브를 더 쉽게 접근 가능하게 하고 특정 속성을 가진 클립이나 순간을 찾는 것을 더 쉽게 만듭니다. 이 과정은 임베딩 추출, 순간 감지, 멀티모달 검색으로 나눌 수 있습니다. 인덱싱 효율성 문제로 30분이 넘는 클립이 있다는 점을 확인했습니다. 이런 클립은 여러 장면으로 구성되어 있어 전체 클립에 대해 적절한 메타데이터를 생성하고 요약하기가 매우 어렵습니다. 현재 해결 방법은 편집자가 긴 클립을 수동으로 짧게 나누는 느린 작업입니다. 우리는 장면 분할 과정을 자동화할 수 있는 솔루션으로 파이신 디텍트라는 컴퓨터 비전 파이썬 라이브러리를 발견했고 다빈이 리졸브에 이 기능이 내장되어 있음을 알게 되었습니다. 리솔브는 이미 디지털화 및 복원 과정에서 사용되고 있어 장면 분할을 기존 작업 흐름에 통합하는 맞춤 스크립트를 만드는 것이 간단할 것입니다. AI 보조 인덱싱을 위해 컴퓨터 비전을 사용하여 카메라 각도, 레벨, 스케일 등 샷 유형을 자동으로 분류하는 오픈소스 모델을 연구했습니다. 또한 날씨, 실내 vs 시로의 위치, 시간대 등을 분류하는 오픈소스 모델도 활용했습니다. 추가 연구를 통해 골격 감지 및 시공간적 동작 감지를 통한 동작인식 오픈소스 모델도 확인했습니다. 이러한 분류 기술은 메타데이터 생성을 보완하여 인덱싱 속도를 높일 수 있습니다. 아카이브 검색성을 향상시키기 위해 디지털화된 미디어는 머신러닝 모델로 분석되어 벡터 임베딩을 생성해야 합니다. 벡터 데이터베이스에 저장된 벡터 임베딩은 유사성 검색에 사용될 수 있습니다. 대형 언어 모델과 결합해 의미 기반 검색이 가능해지면 흥미로운 검색 방법들이 나타납니다. 우리는 오디오와 비디오의 콘텐츠를 분석하는 오픈소스 I 모델을 사용해 영상 요약을 수행했습니다. 그 결과로 텍스트 설명을 생성하거나 추출적 또는 추상적 요약을 통해 짧은 영상을 만들 수 있습니다. 중요 순간 감지는 특정 시점의 주요 순간, 객체 또는 동작을 식별하는 데 사용됩니다. 이 예시는 클립의 전체 지속 시간 동안 화면에 운동선수가 있을 확률을 보여줍니다. 멀티모달 검색은 남자가 밖에서 여자와 대화한다 와 같은 자연어 텍스트 입력을 통해 검색할 수 있습니다. 자연어 처리는 이 쿼리를 벡터로 변화환하고 이를 벡터 데이터베이스의 임베딩과 비교하여 유사한 비디오 클립을 반환합니다. 색상으로 검색할 수 있습니다. 이 경우는 파란색이나 회색입니다. 색상과 객체를 조합해 검색할 수도 있습니다. 이 경우는 초록색과 말입니다. 검색은 객체의 복수 객체도 인식합니다. 이 경우는 2대의 텔레비전입니다. 이미지를 업로드하여 검색할 수도 있습니다. AI가 업로드된 이미지와 유사한 비디오 클립을 찾아줍니다. 이 경우는 아래를 바라보는 사람의 옆모습입니다. 앞으로 우리는 워크플로 효율성을 향상시키고 NBF 컬렉션의 가치를 높일 수 있는 AI 모델들을 계속 연구할 것입니다. 포즈와 동작을 기반으로 매치컷을 찾는 도구를 포함한 다양한 검색 인터페이스도 탐구하고 있습니다. 이를 통해 75주년 영상 같은 제작 작업이 훨씬 쉬워질 것입니다. 유사성 검색과 의미 기반 검색의 다양한 결합도 테스트 중입니다. 이 프로토타입과 연구 결과가 어느 시점에 전체 시스템에 적용할 가치가 있는지 평가해야 할 것입니다. 이 과정에는 혁신연구소와 아카이브 팀뿐만 아니라 기술 서비스, IT, 플랫폼, 제작팀도 포함될 것이며 이 협력에서 지금까지 많은 도움을 준 분들께 감사드립니다.
So just a side note on this document. So the NFB has or will document every research we do and publish it. So because we're the government, it's not because, I think it's part of our mission, the NFB, when we do research to put it in a format that is comprehensive, and we will publish this. So, and I think, you know, as a demonstration of what AI can do, coming here to Korea, I want to be respectful and then show you what we're doing in AI. And one of the things was to translate this video into Korean. I would have not have the time to do this. So we did it with the aid of AI. So we use a software. So I hope the Korean was good. I hope. And, you know, earlier I referenced to being more consumable. And I think, you know, there's a lot of dangers with AI and technology, but then there's that kind of benefit where you can come here and then, you know, have a conversation in your language and share something and make it more, you know, hopefully entertaining and consumable. So that's the kind of stuff that we're excited about when we create all of our movies, that we can share them with the world in a manner that is more appealing to our audiences around the world. So that's why we're doing this. I'm almost done.
10년 전 이 1분
Okay. Next project, sorry about this. Education. In Canada, we don't have a federal government body in charge of overseeing all the students' curriculum. What that means is that every provinces, and we've got 10, I think, we've got 10 provinces, and oversees their own curriculum, both in French and in English, for kids and teens from 6 to 18. Can you imagine the amount of data that can be? The main challenge for our education team, because education is important for the NFB, we reach over 4 million students in Canada. The main challenge for our education team is to find connection between our productions and the existing curriculums in those provinces. Yes, in thousands of curriculum in multiple language everywhere in the country. So we are working with large language models to develop a tool that can highlight these links everywhere. I think I'm gonna be okay. Okay, I got it. So we are working with the large language model to develop a tool that can highlight these links everywhere. We're still in the early stage of this work, but we already see the promise of instantly finding the perfect film to screen into a classroom of third graders about that's a tough word for me in English, sustainability as an example. Finally, transcription. One of the last example I want to share with you is a well-known one in film. Transcription. How many hours are still spent in production on transcription? This is clearly a place to save time and budget. We can invest elsewhere in our production that have more creative value. Lots of tools exist to transcribe films. Our questions are, what are the most performing ones for multilingual films? For documentaries featuring a regional accent, specific cultural expressions. Mind you, Canada has more than a few I just want to go down here, if you don't mind. Sorry about this. Okay, thank you. Mind you, Canada has more than a few indigenous languages. Plus, many other languages are spoken every day. We want our transcription to accurately depict the stories in our films. Of course, we believe a human is still necessary in that process to go over the machine's output. We truly relate to the principle of keeping the human in the loop, but the machine can help. Just for those who are not familiar with transcription, super quick note, it's when we shoot a film, we'll shoot during 20 days, 1 or 2 camera, and then a person for a week or 2 will digitize and annotate and pull out the script or what has been said. And that can take 2-3 weeks, and it's very costly. So time to market for us is important, and we want to put our money on real added value stuff. So we have been using technology for 85 years. We are just now writing another chapter in the NFB's history. I wonder what this patent box will look like 85 years from now. 감사합니다.
네, 리샤드 코니에님의
Thank you very much, Mr. Richard Cormier. This small computer kept on interfering with the presentation while we were talking about AI. Once again, please join me in giving these panelists or presenters another big round of applause.
네, 이제는
Okay, so we will now move on to our final session, the panel discussion. The discussion topic is global cooperation and policy directions for addressing copyright issues in the film industry in the AI era. we have with us Mr. Kang Min-gu, Mr. Cho Kwang-hee, Richard Comier, Ms. Eva Soria Purig, and Mr. Yang Jong-gun from the Busan Film Commission, and Director Chae-soo.
네, 그러면 시작을 부탁드릴까요?
So, I will pass the mic to the moderator now. Thank you very much for being here with us for such a long time. I am attorney Cho Kwang-hee. I will be the moderator.
네, 우리 강 변호사님께서는
So attorney Kang Min-gu gave a presentation on how the general public can use AI, and Ms. Eva, I believe, majored in law and talked about related regulations in EU. And I believe that Mr. Richard works for who works for NFB talked about how NFB is utilizing innovative technologies like AI. And he also gave a very good explanation, and I think his presentation will help greatly in developing Korea's public institutions. And now we have Mr. Yang Jong-gun and Director Chae-sung here with us. So how should we go about this? If our panelists here have any questions to the presenters, you can ask away. And Mr. Yang Jong-gun right now is the Secretary General of the Busan Film Commission. So Secretary General Yang, does the Busan Film Commission or related public institutions in Korea have similar programs like the NFB? Okay, hi, I am Yang Jong-gun. Thank you very much for the 4 presentations. And the presenter from Canada was very, very insightful. So I think that the institution is working as both COFIC as well as Busan Film Commission. And because Canada has a lot of different languages, language translation is of course very important in your institution, in your board. And as I am from the Busan Film Festival, Busan Film Commission, I want to first say that although I'm the Secretary General of Busan Film Commission right now, I am actually a producer that has worked in the field for about 20 years. When I looked at all of the presenters, I saw how all of you mentioned the word innovation, transformation a lot in your presentations. And when I started working with films. And then about a decade later, we started to work digitally. Now that transformation was a very big transformation. Because on site, we stopped using films. And due to that, the movies that we used to shoot with physical film basically disappeared. So there was a lot of changes back then as the physical film era transformed into the digitalized era. And we're now in the AI era. And this really fills me with fear in a sense, because I worry about how film sets will be transformed. I wonder if these will create negative changes or bring about positive changes. So in that light, we are focusing on AI and its impact. And to give my perspective as a Secretary General, I first want to give my input about Attorney Kang Min-gu. So you showed us how you can create scenarios, so scripts, movie scripts with AI. And you showed a very short script, but looking at your example, I felt like it would be possible to later on use AI to create 70-minute feature films. And maybe we could actually use AI to create these legal documents and file lawsuits. And so that made me wonder how we should utilize these new technologies. And also, we manage and operate the filming infrastructure in Busan. So we have film sets with LED walls. And
we have the virtual production studio volume available in Suyangman. And so you can there are some really realistic concerns that we have because of the virtual and the sound mixing and the DI can be done at those Busan studios too. So we have those infrastructure, and now utilizing AI and how to add value to that is something that we have in mind. So on that end, what is your opinion about my concern? Well, I would like to answer your question. So I asked the question to AI, and it says, I gave a court ruling of more than 10,000 cases, and out of that, 150 cases, out of all the rulings that I made of the 36 years, so that 150 cases have been reflected in the electronic book. And this is for free, and you can download this. And I thought it'll be a shame, if this 150 cases go in vain. And I thought, how about, giving this as a subject matter or material for the screenwriting and, or TV drama, and that will give enough resources for second season. And, we had the very successful TV drama like Extraordinary Attorney Woo. So, as Mr. Yang suggested, perhaps I could utilize that and, come up with a script, and it'll only take me a half a day. What I'm really worried about is that by 2040 or 2045, the whole capacity of computer, including AI capacity, all the computing resources, will exceed the sensibility and reasoning of human. And if that happens, then our film industry will involve just giving prompts, and then you will be able to star those very good-looking actors. Because right now, what we see now is the uncanny valley. We cannot avoid uncanny valley now, but by 2040 or 2045, I would say 16 years down the road, you'll be able to really see the AI-made visuals looking very much realistic, and that'll disrupt the current landscape of filmmaking. And this automatic generation will happen very quickly. So traditional way of making a film, hiring actors and made them learn their lines and shoot, act in front of the camera and shoot it and then edit it and screen it. This flow will be disrupted. And Netflix, it's all the same as film. It's just that it's shown on a smaller device. That's the only difference. So after 2045, the global film industry will be transformed immensely. I don't even know if it will exist as it is now. I don't think it will exist, I would dare to say. So these screenwriters, DPs, the directors, the editors, the composers, or actors and extras, the whole industry will collapse because the power of AI is immense. So I think these people in the industry will really have to think about how the future will unfold in 15 years down the road. But then, how one can utilize AI in the most productive way, that would be the biggest mission that the filmmakers will have at hand. I'm a little bit afraid of the future, to be honest with you, because it will disrupt industry. The attorneys or judges, 50% of them losing their jobs. That is not just my opinion; it's everybody's everybody's common view. And I believe the tsunami is coming. This technological tsunami is coming to film industry also, and no one can escape from it. So that is the big challenge ahead of us.
Hello. I have a bit of a more optimistic outlook. I think what you're referring to is quantum computing, which is for sure at our doorstep. So what it means is, we look at AI today. I was referring earlier to velocity. What is difficult for us humans is the velocity of this and the time to compute what's going on. It's nothing compared to what's going to be quantum computing. I agree on that front, but I trust humanity, and filmmaking is stories about our brothers, our sisters, would it be, or even science fiction movie, but I don't see a collapse. If there is a collapse, the world will collapse. I think, so many industries would collapse. If I take an analogy, and I don't want to go, totally crazy on the topic, but the current estimate with AI is it's gonna remove 85 million jobs, but it will create 92 million jobs. So a little bit like I was referring in my presentation, there was 440,000 horse drivers in 1900. They all disappeared. They've been replaced by cab drivers and other means of transportation, and we have evolved. And I don't know how many horse drivers there would be today, but there's a lot of car drivers. So my take is, I think it is scary. I think we're not used to this velocity, right? It's been slow, industrial era, film for a long time, digital, non-linear in our world, and many advancement. I think what makes me dizzy is velocity. But I have faith. I have faith in the good stories, human emotions. I don't see quantum computing or AI, for that matter, replacing these thoughts. I think we'll see a new grammar, a new visual language. I'm sure there's a few gamers here, right? The universe, the real-time interaction with content. Would it be, so we see those real-time engine in 3D, Unreal, Epic Games, being in those worlds, 200 hours of playing time. So I think there's a new visual language that we're comfortable with. And I think there might be another one coming up with AI. But I think storytelling will be there.
네, 말씀 잘 들었습니다.
Thank you very much. So to add on with what Attorney Kang said, you know how Woo Young-woo in the very famous K-drama is the attorney that has a disability. In The Extraordinary Attorney Woo, I saw that the episodes that came out of those episodes were very fun. Now, because I work in the entertainment industry when it comes to law, I actually got a person that came to me and said, what do you think about Netflix trying to use my personal case and use it for their episode? So that's actually something that happened. And from that episode came The Extraordinary Attorney Woo. And as Mr. Richard said, I think out of a lot of different industries, the film industry and the music industry are facing a lot of different threats. And Mr. Kang mentioned how a lot of attorneys are going to lose their jobs. So when I write my books, I do a lot of research, and I read from a foreign article that an IT company created an AI tool for a specific writer overseas. AI basically learns from existing data, so I believe that AI can't be fully creative. I agree with that opinion 100%. I also get help from AI in my work, but the narrative of a novel or a film has to be original. It has to be creative. I think AI is still lacking in this area. And the contribution that I wrote in the foreign article, it read that the overseas writer, when the overseas writer fed AI with all of his previous work, the AI actually replicated his writing style pretty well. So AI has its limitations right now, but in the future, when we find that point of technical singularity, like Attorney Kang said, then AI could be a really big wave then. And I also want to ask Director Tae soon, but before that, I'd like to ask Ms. Eva Puchis, is that the right pronunciation? So in Europe, there's the AI regulation. And then, does that mean that when Korean firms or companies want to conduct business in Europe, how would the EU's AI Act work?
When Korean companies want to do work in Europe, they will have to comply with the AI regulations in Europe. And since this is the first AI regulation comprehensive all over the world, I think that a lot of countries and a lot of legal systems are looking at this AI regulation right now. Because at the end of the day, it's a very simple regulation that what it does, as I explained in my slides, is to organize AI devices or AI applications by threats to basically human rights, right? So I think that the law in Europe is going to be very similar to what other countries are going to end up adapting. So this is just the first one. My biggest concern about this law is that it doesn't address properly, or it doesn't address in depth what's going to happen with the compensation of authors. And this is what I tried to point out in my presentation. Because it is clear, as you are saying here, that authors, a lot of creators are going to lose their business model. So we definitely, and this is the biggest job we have ahead of us in the next following years, we need to find new business models for those creators. My take is that instead of protecting the works, we have to start protecting the creators. So move IP from protecting a work to protect a subject, which is the creator. How we're going to do that, it's still not clear. But something along those lines will have to happen, because otherwise we're going to have a creative sector that it's going to have no business model. And I'm not talking about the companies, I'm talking about the artists. A lot of them will lose their jobs. It is true. And you said, a lot of jobs would be lost, but there are going to be a lot of new jobs. But those jobs are going to be in technology, not in creation. And that's the biggest challenge that we have. I mean, I don't have a crystal ball. This is what we are foreseeing. But the next following years are going to be very important. And it is very important that the artists also raise their voices, because legislation is done in Congress, in assemblies, and a lot of times the industry has a way to really push for their interest and make sure that their business model is protected in law. Artists are not that good organizing themselves, being a group of interest. And you can see that in legislation very clearly in a lot of ways. And that's not only Europe, that's across the board, that's internationally.
네, 말씀 잘 들었습니다.
Thank you for that. So after the discussion, we're going to leave some time to take questions from the audience, just to let you know. We had a presentation from India, and his content was quite technical, and I'm sure Director Che was able to understand because he has hands-on to his own projects, and he's been leading this realm. So could you tell us more about what projects that you have been working on? Thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak. Hello, my name is Che Soo-ung. I'm a filmmaker. And just listening to your presentations, I saw myself really thinking about many things, because when there's a new technology comes up, there's a fear also that follows. And how are we going to survive in this tsunami? And that method of survival has to be discovered. And most of the people who have already experienced such industry disruptive technology. So I think we can come up with something. As for me, I've worked on VR. I've worked with real-time graphic engines. So all the computer graphics that you don't need cameras, these technologies are the ones that I have been using. And basically, AI production allows some work that can be done by, say, 300 people. I've already experienced that. And you can replicate a physical actor into a project. And I've also worked with a virtual human. And also interaction, real life interaction with audience, and that I had to cover this issue of information protection, private information protection. And when you do that interaction between AI and audience, there's a performance aspect of it, and that performance, is that going to, or who holds the right to that performance, the interaction between the audience and the AI? So these were all the issues that were in my mind and in my hand. And I'm a little bit embarrassed to say this, but have you seen the trailer for Squid Game 2? No, not yet. I have high expectation of the season 2. Because it was 2015 when Netflix Korea was incorporated, and it's been almost 10 years. And still, in Korea, we have to resolve this issue of compensating Korean workers with overseas OTT. So basically, there are some disputes over compensation made to Korean workers if you work for OTT. Because if you see the OTT, you can just look at it as a technical platform, but there's a social aspect too. I am part of PGK, the Producers Guild of Korea, and we are trying to to come up with something to address that. And we had the Video Act that's been revised, and I heard that COFIC is going to talk more about that and have an input. And there is a blurring boundary between OTT and film that you have to amend the related laws. Now we have to look into the essence of what makes a film, what makes other contents, what other contents, and if the AI contents, if the real-time generation of AI film, then how are you going to categorize them or classify them or rate them? We are also making some, AI. Because my films are rated as games because there's no law for giving a viewer rating on VR or interactive contents that are different from film format. So personally, I think it's quite sad that my film is rated as a game. And another thing is in terms of pursuing rights over some work, like for example, Harry Potter, J.K. Rowling, who wrote Harry Potter, it's only 6 books that she wrote, but fanfic, there are about 90 books that are available online, and it's great that she allowed that kind of derivatives. It's really wonderful, but there are, some of the things that things like this that it's kind of out of control. And it takes about a year to make a film, and it only takes 1 hour for AI to make a film. So time is racing. We're racing against time, basically. And I look at the Canada's film board. I can kind of foresee that when we, if my projects can be used for such services, and that'll be my gift to the next generation audience. I have a question to the 2 foreign guests. To Eva, you said we need to protect the author rather than protecting the work itself. And do you have any concrete idea on how to do that? And this question's for Richard. You started as a storyteller, and now you are employing all these AI technology for archiving. So that'll be a very rosy picture. But if the post copyright that's designated as 70 years all around the world. Do you think we should shorten that period of returning the copyright to public domain is shorter than that for AI projects to give compensation for the creators more for a longer time? Perhaps that's a more practical way to give compensation to the creators rather than other ways. What's your opinion? Okay, so how about starting with you, Eva?
Okay, those are very interesting questions. I'll try to be brief. So in countries like Sweden, for example, they do have sort of like a minimum wage that is granted to artists. And this is before AI. This would be one way to do it. In other words, if you are an artist, and then the big question is, who is an artist, right? Because as the intellectual property is set up now, a drawing done by my daughter, who is 10, would be protected under intellectual property if it's original, it has literary, artistic, or scientific content. You know, if she draws, it's beautiful, it's artistic, therefore it's protected. Original because no one has done it before. It has an author who is a human, who is my daughter, you know, and it's an expression of an idea, you know, draw me an elephant. This will be protected under intellectual property. A work done by an artist, as I tried to explain in my slides, if it's done with AI, as of now, it's not protected by intellectual property. So there is something wrong here. Intellectual property was supposed to be a way for authors to have a certainty that their work has a value in the market. And it's not the case anymore. IP has gone to be a way to protect the industry. In other words, and as I mentioned before, a toaster, if it has an original shape, is protected by IP. Conceptual art is not. So I think that intellectual property law has to be rewritten entirely from the beginning. One solution that is, it's not only me who is saying that, is, you know, I'm in a lot of forums of jurists that we're trying to figure out ways for the artist to not to disappear, you know, or having, you know, making the choice of being an artist now will be a very tough choice, because how are you going to make a living if you work with AI? Your work is not going to be protected, and then everything that you do, whether with AI or not, is going to be, you know, used to feed all these machines to learn about your work and about the work that everyone else is doing. So if you want to be an artist, how are you going to make a living? And I think that the answer to that is, let's protect the artist. Maybe in order to be considered an artist, you will have to join a union of artists, you know, and the union is going to be the organization that we as governments are going to be talking about or talking with to compensate all its union members. How it's going to be done, no one has the answer. But there has to be a change, because protecting the work is a model that doesn't work anymore.
Me, I'll try to respond in less than 30 minutes. Just a few things. In Canada, it's 50 years, so it's a bit shorter. But we, as a producer and distributor, being owned by the government, I would certainly, you know, welcome the idea of returning this to the public domain sooner than later. I would personally, and you know, I need to check with my boss. But it makes sense for us as an institution to return this as quickly as we can, and then, you know, there's cost coming with, you know, owning property if you want to promote it, if you want to put it on a platform. So, you know, you need to have somewhat a revenue that is attached to this. What prevents this really is not from a producer nor a distributor standpoint. It's our obligation to actually the artist, music rights and actors' rights and Writers Guild. So the reason why it doesn't get sooner in the public domain, it's because of those rights that they do have, and they want to hold on to it as long as possible. So the NFB is maybe a different animal, as in we make documentaries. We're not doing blockbusters. So we're not looking at it differently. But in fact, it's very costly. I can share this. It's very costly for us to even manage those rights, because sometimes we need to keep a file for 50 years and sometimes cut a $1 check, because it's their rightful rights, and we need to cut a $1 check. To cut a $1 check, it costs $3,000, because we need to maintain, the rights and this and the system, and then we wait a bit to write a check because accounting and legal, it takes a village to cut a check. So it's very expensive. So we would like to make sure that every artist is fairly compensated. I think too, the union or the guild or the artists need to look at their compensation. We have this stance. We're the government, so we'll go where is the most ethical and makes the most sense. So we don't have a commercial agenda, but the current system is very complex. It's very expensive, and nobody's happy. Nobody's get paid fairly, and I think it's a problem. I don't have a solution, to be quite frank. I think it would be, if I can offer a glimpse of solution, is, the model is based, if you look at it, it's it's mostly based on a revenue share when you think about it. And the reason is we don't want to pay the artists up front. It's the way the industry has been built. But if you perform, instead of paying you $500 and then give you royalties for 20 years, I should probably pay you $3,000 and say, we're good. So, and then that would be fair compensation. You can pay your rent because you're in the moment and you're not getting a check in 20 years from now for $25. So, I'm not an expert, I'm not a lawyer, but I think that would be where I would, if I would work on the challenge, that's where I would put my effort and thoughts.
Thank you very much for your comments. Now I want to ask Attorney Kang. So you really are the expert in AI in the legal frame, I think. I forgot the exact commission, what it was, where you are the chair of. Can you talk about which commission you're chairing and what you're doing there, how it will develop going forward? In last January, the subcommittee, the Legal System Subcommittee of National Artificial Intelligence Committee was founded. There we have some public officials and also 30 private sector officials participating. And we also have special divisions here, special infra division. There's some special quorums and sections. So we all gathered in September, and in this month, on the 2nd of this month, we have the second plenary session, and every month we have offline sessions for individual sections. And next week, on the 20th of December, another meeting of the subcommittee is scheduled. So not that long ago, AI Basic Act was first drafted, and it is predicted that it will be up for the review of the plenary session soon in the National Assembly. We do not know if that will happen because of the state of affairs in Korea right now. But when we look at the clause of that act, we can see that there's not that many punitive clauses. There's nothing really about penalty regarding AI. It's basically about promoting AI industry in Korea and setting up infrastructure. In AI, there's the foundational model that is the basis of LLM, and there's servers that are needed to run that model. And in that server, there's GPU, and there's also HBM and a lot of high quality data set that is needed. The US, China, and Korea are the only countries that have capabilities to excel in all of these areas. In Middle East and Europe, they are also developing these in small scale. But it's quite a different case from Korea, US, and China. So Korea right now is in the top 6 to 7 ranking when it comes to AI development around the world. So I'm not sure if we'll be able to become one of the G3 countries in AI in the near future, but the president is basically the head of this subcommittee, and there's also some previous dean of the Korea University working on this subcommittee. And because there's some problems with the national state of affairs right now with the president and all, I don't know the future of this subcommittee, but just like there's a saying, just plant an apple tree a day. I will not care about the state of affairs with the president. I'll just try to focus on my goals. And I want to utilize KakaoTalk paid chat room. I want to have 400 members in this room, and I already have this room actually. I'm already sharing a lot of information with them in the Kakao chat room. I believe that I was able to give the keynote speech in today's distinguished international forum because I operate this AI Evergreens Tree chat room on KakaoTalk. And if possible, it'd be great if I could get some questions from the floor regarding my presentation. I already have received some text from you. So if anybody from the audience has any questions, it doesn't matter whatever questions you have. It doesn't have to be related to the slides or my presentation. Yes, right now in the National Assembly, I think there's ongoing discussion regarding the impeachment of the president. Okay, but development regarding AI will continue because of our attorney Kang, right? Yeah. So next, I want to ask Ava here. Right now, when we look at Korea, the AI Basic Act is basically on the brink of going to the plenary session. And for the US, I'm not sure of what's happening, but I think that there's some presidential decree regarding the AI. I think they're focusing more on the intelligence part of AI, and I think that Europe is focusing on regulation of AI. That's what many people say. And I think when it comes to the hegemon of AI, who will really hold the biggest power of AI in the future, there's a lot of different opinions. So, Ms. Ava, I want to ask you, in which direction should AI's regulation go, and how is AI regulation good globally?
It's very complicated because AI has its massive impact on the digital world, and the digital world is really it's really hard to establish the forum. That means in which court you're going to be settling that case or litigating that case if something happens, in like outside of the digital world. When there is an international case, the first thing that you have to look at is where the damage took place, right? And then that, if there is not a contract that establishes which court of law is going to be dealing with that conflict, it's going to be the place where the damage occurred. So what happened if that damage is on the internet, right? If there is an artist that has uploaded a work and, the work has been copied. in the case of the Getty images that I showed you before, it's very clear, because it's an American company suing another American company, so no problem about that. But when there is a question about what's going to be the legal forum, sometimes it's very difficult to figure out. So where do I want to get with that? Is that if we have different legal systems dealing with AI, then it's not going to be a question of where should we, where it makes sense, where the damage has taken place. Lawyers are going to look at what's the more favorable law, and they're going to force to be litigating at a court of law where, applying the law of that particular country would have a better outcome for their client. So I see a lot of chaos there. If we are not able to internationally agree at least on the basics. So there has to be regulation that has at least some minimal agreement. I think that one thing that we should all agree on is human rights, right? So AI should not be used for racial profiling, for manipulation, all the not the high risk, but the unacceptable risk tier that the AI regulation in Europe establishes. I think that should be at least the very minimum agreement that all the countries should agree upon. Is that going to happen? Well, we in Europe tend to have a very Eurocentric view, and we think that, fundamental rights are, of course, they're protected everywhere. Sometimes it's not the case in some countries. So what's going to happen? We're going to see it very soon, because this is going to evolve very rapidly. Probably if we would have this conversation in January, we will already have some answers. As of the US, and I'll finish with that, the Copyright Office in the US is going to release a very, very extensive report by the end of this year on copyright and artificial intelligence. So that's going to make a stand, and that's going to tell us a lot of where we're going on that matter.
네, 말씀 잘 들었습니다.
Thank you for your input. Well, due to time constraint, we're going to start getting questions from the floor soon. But I personally didn't know about what Canada National Film Board was doing in that innovation, that know-how about the technology. Perhaps that could be shared with Busan Film Commission or COFIC, perhaps? Well.
So, when we had the Busan International Film Festival, we actually talked a lot about AI. And we held a special forum related to AI, and also with COFIG, we are in discussion about topics related to this. In Korea, there's a lot of complexities when it comes to amending laws, especially when it comes to the film. There's different kind of categories, and OTT series are belonging to one institution, films belong to another institution, and also the ratings are given by another institution. It's all divided. The Ministry of Culture, Sports, and Tourism are in charge of one part, but then they also have to collaborate with the Ministry of ICT and Science for one aspect. So basically, the government is having difficulty coming up with a comprehensive plan, and there's not a lot of progress regarding the copyright laws and such in this aspect because of such divisions and fragmentations. So the Busan Film Commission right now is thinking about two aspects of Gen AI. First of all, we're not only thinking about the creative work, we're thinking about how we can help people in terms of the technological aspect. For instance, for VFX, if we need like 10 people to work on that asset, AI could reduce the amount of time and cost going into that work. So I think we could work with some film producers, regional film producers, to cut down the time and cost. And this year, we actually were selected for a demonstration project from the Ministry of ICT and Science for generative AI. And through this public competition under that ministry, we believe that we could help people creating low-budget films. And also because we're in Busan, we have a location support system for those filming in Busan. So with our location support system, I think we could make our current system more convenient. And also because we have a virtual studio, we could create assets more economically. Creating one asset takes like 50 to 60 million Korean won. We do have the support system right now, but still, it's very expensive. And I think it would be good to have some projects to support creators produce work. And we can't just recommend AI to them and end there. I think we need a lot of policy support. Can I go about 10 to 15 minutes over time? Is it okay? Oh, okay. There's a screening. Okay. So my last question was actually for Mr. Richard. I asked, my question was regarding if you could share any cases of NFB to the Korean Busan Film Commission. Yeah, this is for Richard.
Yeah, no problem. Well, we'll be happy. I think we do have a special connection, and like I've said before, everything that the NFB will be investigating or prototyping will become public. So it is first and foremost aimed or designed to actually help creators to learn. That's why I was explaining we're investing $1 million per year. I don't know how much in Korean wons, but it's a lot. And then we have a specialized team. And the idea is to give to the artisan those findings. They don't have the time or necessarily the energy to investigate and make those prototypes. So it's a way for us to make sure, in business or in life, there's the bottom-up approach, right? When you help people rise up and the industry catching up, and the top-down approach where people make big decisions and just lay it down. So we're here to stimulate the bottom-up approach, and we're there for the creators. Part of DNFB is to tell stories to Canadians that resonates to them, but it's as well to support, nourish an industry that needs to flourish. So we pay really attention to the industry. We're not the driving force, in Canada, as commercial entities and a bunch of players, but it's part of our mission. So we would be, in short, would be glad to and happy to collaborate with the Busan city for sure. So it's be an honor.
네, 말씀 감사합니다. 지금
Thank you very much. We don't have a lot of time, so I think we'll be able to take 2 questions from the floor. And so Attorney Kang wants to share a lot of his know-hows, a lot of his expertise. So does anybody have questions for Attorney Kang? Okay, we have somebody at the back. Thank you very much for that great presentation. So to Attorney Kang, First of all, I actually texted you right away when you shared your phone number.
그 말씀해주신 내용 중에
So from your presentation,
편향성 없는 정보를 교차사크에서 이렇게
I remember how you have the dream to share unbiased information and spread unbiased information by cross-checking it through AI program.
조정한다는 거는 이해가 있는데
So I think I've heard of a similar concept where we can use an algorithm like that. How can we perfect it
지금 법적으로 그거를
in a legal manner? Yeah, in a legal manner, we don't have a perfect way right now. There's RAG method right now where we can fine-tune AI programs.
일상을 살면서 하루 종일
But as you go about in your daily life, everyone,
가장
I really want to ask you, is there anyone that doesn't lie at least once in their work or at their home?
기반으로 질문하라.
If AI has concrete data, then it will be able to produce correct information. But if there's less data set about a certain category, then AI
답변을 하라고 우리가
has no choice but to give the answer with the highest probability because we have coded it to give an answer, which is why it's leading to hallucination and wrong answers.
문제가 아니고
All in all, I don't think that AI is going to solve this problem.
AI로
I think we can't just use one AI. I think we need to use AI A, AI B, AI C. If we use different types of AI systems right now, they all give us different answers.
다음에 하면 또 답이 다르고
And even if we ask AI A the same question twice, after some time has passed, the answer changes.
자기끼리를 한다고 생각하는데
And the public, when they see this kind of phenomena, think that AI is just putting different data set information together. But that's not the case. AI is generating answers.
법적이나 기술적으로 합격하게 할
Up to this point, we don't have the perfect answer to get rid of hallucination in a legal manner or in a technological manner. But at least for now, I recommend you to use not the free version of AI programs, but the subscription or paid version of AI programs.
지혜 근육, 생각 근육이
The thinking muscles, the wisdom of users, in other words, the analog muscles of users has to be developed for the AI to perform well. If you think that AI isn't giving you the right answers, reflect on yourself and think if you ask the right questions to AI. And there's
2014년부터 썼는
from 2014, I've written more than 25.6 million memos. And that's my analog data set. So I hope you all do your part as well. Yes, thank you very much.
궁금하신 것
Yeah, so I'm sure if you have a question, you can, text him because he disclosed his personal contact info. Okay, got it. Thank you. Thank you for the time. We have 5 more minutes. Now, this is usually, I let the panelists say a few words before closing. But is there anyone like Mr. Che to, make a parting comment? And then after that, I will take one last question from the floor and let us wrap it up within 5 minutes. It's the request from the organizer. Quickly, please. Sorry, but there's something that I have to oppose. LLM leaderboard upstage in Korea is the only one that's being utilized. Clova and NCSoft are the ones who are capable of using LLM. So in terms of evaluating bias, it's quite a challenge still. And unfortunately, if you use foreign platforms from like USA or from China, there's no meaning. Stability, they are focusing on the US and Korea is not part of their target. So we have to really focus on our kind of AI sovereignty. And here, where human creativity comes in, because you have to put effort in it and creativity. And when I make film, I think about time and think about memory. So I hope that other filmmakers who are not traumatized by bad policies anymore. Last question, please. Make it brief. Thank you very much for your presentations. I will keep my question brief. So that the question comes into mind: who is the creator? Can we always say only the human can create something? Yes, the human is using it as a tool, so human is the creator here. But sometimes, is there any possibility that AI can use human? So in that sense, ethically and legally, how can we define a creator? So perhaps Mr. Kang or Puch can comment on that. How about you, Mr. Kang? Oh, yes, that is something that we cannot define internationally. So is that the user who put in the prompt correctly? So he or she is the creator, or the AI company is the creator? We cannot define it clearly. But depending on how sophisticated the prompt is, the output quality differs vastly. So I personally think that we won't be able to protect it to the level of regular copyright. But if somebody uses the exact prompt of somebody's high quality prompt, then you are infringing the author's right. And this is one of the issues that we have to address as soon as possible. That's a very good question. Now thank you very much. We're going to close the panel discussion. Thank you very much. Now this concludes the 2024 UNESCO Creative City of Film Busan International Forum. Today, we talked about the valuable insights into copyright issues and ethical challenges faced by film industry in the AI era. We extend our gratitude to all the speakers and participants for making this event a success. So you can use the exit upward and make sure that you return your receivers. Please give it up to all the panelists today. Thank you. Thank you.